In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Big Rays, the Alaskan outfitter, committed to outfitting Alaskans across the state since 1947. Whether you're a recreator, parent, guide, or corporate buyer, Big Rays has the gear you need, tailored for Alaska's harsh conditions. Check out their new exclusive line of Auralic waders. Big Rays for all your outdoor gear and rugged work attire. BigRays.com.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
The TreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives. AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include weekly lawn care, custom landscaping, fertilizing, weed control, turf repair, and more. Schedule your free estimate at lawnproak.com.
Alaska's OG cider company, Double Shovel, crafting gluten-free colonial-style ciders founded as a healthier, non-inflammatory brew option. Drop by their Pop and Tap room in Anchorage off of 58th and Arctic or visit the second location in Kodiak. Double Shovel, award-winning ciders.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
Alaska Mining and Diving Supply, located in Anchorage, is our go-to for powder sleds and utility rigs. Whether you're in the mountains with the flat bill bros, running trap lines, or hauling freight, they have the selection to get you dialed from peaks to the valleys. Find them on Commercial Drive or akmining.com.
Yeah, I'll have to chat some more about that. So I haven't gotten one yet, and I want one bad.
Ooh.
I want one really bad.
Don't
Christmas
let it
can.
sit in the fridge for 4 years. I saved one and gave it to the kids the other day.
Uh-huh.
And it was the most like goaty goat wild gamey goat.
What was it, burger?
It was a Polish dog, and its sister dogs that were all eaten within the first year tasted delicious. It did not age well.
They weren't freezer burnt or nothing?
No.
Just goaty.
It was weird.
Whatever that is. I don't know what goaty is.
Weird.
But
There's probably some bacteria that just like could, normally wouldn't grow really, would maybe grow at like normal temperatures, but at that temperature, and I didn't like dip it in salt water before I vacuum sealed it. If I did that, it probably wouldn't have tasted like that. And I think that bacteria just grew in there. It was nasty. Like the kids will eat some stuff in there. And,
4-year-old
they were like, I
hot
think
dogs?
something's wrong with this. It tastes like fish. Like that was. And I tried it, and I was like, nah. Yeah, 4-year-old.
Whoa.
Actually, it might have been 5-year-old goat Polish.
You got chest freezers? Is it a chest?
No, it's not a chest.
Oh, that's surprising. That's where I always lose stuff. Is the bottom of the chest freezer.
Really?
Oh yeah, it just
those are the
wiggles its
worst.
way
Yeah,
in there.
gets to the bottom.
You got to rotate.
Yeah.
man.
Those are the
Yeah.
worst.
No, I have the stand-up freezer. Yeah. No, I was saving it because we really liked it, and I was just like, oh, we'll save it for a special time. And then it's just like, God, it was always right there, and I like bypassed it. I was like, all right, we're gonna eat this now.
Yeah. I thought my chest freezer went out the other day. We did the full scare off, dude. Full scare off. I went and like for some reason the kids, we had some ice cream in there, and I was like, when did you buy this? This is soft. She's like, what? And so I go down and I'm like checking the salmon. I was like, oh shit, this should be rock hard.
Right.
So we just did the full panic, like everything into the normally like the chest freezers, like the Costco freezer.
Yeah.
And we just moved shit and just put like everything that we had from the end.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I think it was just maybe, I don't know.
didn't
The
get
seal was
unplugged.
cracked.
the seal was cracked or something. I was like, let's get everything out. We'll leave it on and see what happens. And it's still good.
Give it opportunity to do its little thaw cycle.
Yeah.
It's a good time to clean them when you have one of those scares too.
Yeah, totally.
You're like, well, it's empty now.
Yeah.
Might as well clean it out.
Yeah.
You know, let everything. Is that one of those that where it self thaws or something? What do you call those?
Yeah.
No, I'd have to unplug it.
Well, okay, so like some freezers they glaciate real bad, and those ones are like self thawing.
Yeah, it has like a cycle where it thaws itself.
Right, and I prefer the latter though. I like a freezer that doesn't do that.
That just
Does
gets 5 inches of ice.
Yeah, well, I feel like more,
You know
shit
it's
gets
working.
freezer burnt more in the self thawer than
Oh,
it does.
really?
Yeah, that's what I've found because I put my game meat in that self thawer because it's the bigger freezer and it just has more space and I can get OCD with it. The other one is like a combo fish and Costco stuff.
Yeah.
And that never freezer burns. That one's
Do you go through that one faster or something?
no, not really.
I wonder.
No.
We could look it up sometime and see.
I was just
There's
curious if
probably
you guys
some
had that
statistics.
same kind of thought, or am I tripping? It's just me freezer
I've
burning.
never observed that, but it could be something.
Yeah.
You have an alarm on yours?
It does have a little beep on it when it's not
Does it-
sealed all the way.
Oh, okay. It does have a beep. Okay, mine doesn't.
Yeah,
Didn't you have a
my new one
scare?
does.
Mine went out, like completely broke,
Yeah.
but I didn't lose anything from it.
That happened to me when I was on the slope. I worked on the slope for 10 years. And
Oh, no.
I had a 4x8 freezer.
You weren't home.
Yeah, I wasn't home, and I had a doll sheep cape in there,
Oh,
3 life-size goat capes, a brown bear cape in there, and 220 pounds of meat in there.
Oh, massive freezer.
Massive. One of the big, huge chest
Yeah.
freezers.
Yeah.
4x8, you said?
Yeah.
Sounds like as big as this table
Yeah,
almost.
huge.
Yeah.
And that's why now I got 4 freezers and I got them on different circuits. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really crazy about it. It only takes once. I mean, especially when you're watching a taxidermy, you just wipe the hair off your doll sheep, your first doll sheep, and the hair's just like, yeah, you don't forget that ever. It was like, yeah.
Oh,
man.
no.
Damn. dude.
But they have alarms now that you can connect to where you plug it in, don't they?
Bluetooth or-
Yeah, and it'll like tell you on your phone.
Oh yeah,
if it's
that's
out.
awesome. We should get those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that.
Technology.
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
can fix
that makes
those, man. A lot of times, people like mine went out. The stand-up one went out, and they're expensive, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if someone can fix this. I didn't want to just like toss that beautiful, huge
Yeah.
freezer. And one guy came from the valley, dude. It ended up costing like $80.
Oh,
he just
really?
fixed like the coupler or something. He's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, people don't know all this stuff's easy to fix. And
Right.
it just does it real quick, and instead of buying a new,
Yeah.
$1,800 freezer.
Mine was a condenser that went out, and when I looked it up, it was gonna be like basically new cost replacement cost. It was like time to get a new one.
It's worth, I think, having it looked at.
Yeah,
and then
yeah. I
finding
paid
out if it
$100
can be fixed.
to someone come look at it.
Yeah.
You know? Because
Those guys are always grumpy, though. He was happy that the garage is organized. He's like, oh, man, some places I go in, can't even get in there, you know?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, they appreciate that. The garage door repair guy can be a little bit grumpy, too.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you turned me on to that old boy, Don, I think's his name, with the Pioneer.
Yeah.
He's actually a beauty once you get to know him. He's just initially kind of grumpy because he's just like, I don't want to work anymore, but I got to
do the same thing.
Here I am.
All he does is
And you're like, hey, all happy and
Yeah.
joyful, shake his hand. You want some hot dogs?
Yeah.
You know, it was like, some moose hot dogs? Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, get him all juiced up right away. Give him warm and fuzzies. Like, this is a cool place to be. You definitely want to fix my garage door for sure.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect Alaskan icebreaker. Is like anybody you meet, you're like, hey, you like to hunt? And they're like, oh yeah, moose, goat, fish. Usually not fish because everybody's got fish.
Yeah, everybody's got
it's
fish.
like, hey, want a muskox steak? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Man.
That's awesome.
Yes, and from the sound of it, you have like a smorgasbord. Did I pronounce that right?
Smorgasbord.
Of a selection of proteins.
A
at any given time.
little bit.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I've been pretty lucky, a little blessed in a lot of areas to hunt a variety. I hunt a lot. I don't have toys.
Okay.
I don't have a snow machine. I do have a side by side because I got a 1 and 3 year old. And if you want to get outside with a 1 and 3 year old in any distance, then you're gonna need some wheels. But yeah, I mean, springtime we do bait stations. Black bear, that's breakfast sausage. That's the only thing it gets made into. I get a mountain goat that's 100% burger.
Yep.
This year, my wife had an elk tag on a fog neck. Very little burger because we have eaten goat burger for 7 years straight. So we always have a lot of burger. So yeah, we got a little bit of variety, but that's what I do. It's like, what's going on this time of year. I'm not deer hunting. Normally I'd be deer hunting this time of year. And it's just like, all I do is hunt. It's like
So save money on the monthly toy expense.
Yeah, I mean, I drive a 1998 truck, that gets me around and good maintenance in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like to hunt, and I like to eat wild game.
Call that living lean, man. Live lean. You don't got payments and credit card. Well, those air flights and transporter costs usually go on a credit card, and you got to pay those at some point. But
yeah, working on that pilot license now because I'm like, man.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Opened your eyes, didn't it? You're like, I
Man.
should be flying myself into these
Oh, you're about to
places.
have the most expensive toy.
Yeah, all my friends were just like, yeah, I thought you liked to hunt. It's like, It's like, I do, but man, I pay a lot in bush plane cost, and, you can't be mad at the transporters. I mean, cost of living, everything is getting so expensive that it's like...
It costs a lot to operate those businesses, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've done that south end of Kodiak hunt for... I've shot... Nine goats off that south end Kodiak hunt, and anymore it's just unless I have 4 or 5 buddies going with us in a bush plane to split the cost. It's like, man, I just can't justify it anymore. It just got too expensive,
The backhaul costs.
Yeah, the round trip costs, and especially for a goat, you're getting 60, 80 pounds of meat. When you could spend that same amount of money sometime of the year and fly into somewhere else and get a moose or something where you're taking home a lot more meat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some years I specifically just hunt different animals. Like I typically try to avoid hunting moose, and as I'm asking, a lot of people are just like, man, what? You don't like hunting moose?
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like whitetail hunting in Michigan, it's like, it's what we do.
Yeah, but I also, like, when I hunt a moose, I can't hunt anything else for like a year. And I'm like, man, I got 4 freezers, but man, I fill up 3 of those. It's like, well, you can't put anything else in there.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Welcome to Alaska Wild Project, episode 148. Today we have Caleb Martin in from the Alaska Outdoor Council. Thanks for coming in, Caleb.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I think you've been on our list since like episode 10.
Wow. Been a while.
And for some reason, it just hasn't, I don't know,
we
worked out. We run into each other all the time, too.
It's like, hey, Caleb, will you come on the show? Oh, sorry, I'm hunting.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Got to do an episode on the side of a mountain one of these days.
Exactly.
Yes, we do. We do. Speaking about the podcast, are you still doing some recording?
Yeah, actually, I'm getting ready to kind of fire it back up. I got a pretty good list of people I want to talk to. I did it for a while, but then we had kids, and we're in the middle moving, and life got a little crazy. I took over the executive director role with AOC, the original AOC, and life just got a little busy, as you guys know. This is an investment to do this. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes devotion, especially to do it well, and so lost that for a bit. So now I'm kind of getting settled, and now trying to get back into the groove of things. It's really fun. As you guys know, talking to a lot of interesting people about there's a lot of interesting Alaskans out there.
Oh, there's so many. Sure. It's crazy.
It's like endless, man.
Yeah, but you put out some good stuff. Explore Alaska was the name, correct?
Yeah.
Explore Alaska podcast. You even had the governor on there. Mm-hmm. You had some good episodes on there. Is the Explore Alaska, the Instagram page, yours too?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that one's hugely popular.
Yeah, there's Explore Alaska, and then there's Exploring Alaska. And Exploring Alaska is a little bit more popular. There's a guy, obviously a pilot that flies a lot, really popular group. But I started Explore Alaska quite a long time ago just because I like to hunt a lot, but man, hunting is really driven because I like to get outside and I like to just go places and like a lot of
the adventure.
The adventure, the experience, because you never know what is going to be around the next corner and what you're going to run into.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I did Explore Alaska for a long time and built that into a marketing brand. I was marketing outdoor companies, started doing a little retail. But as that plate got full, and then my guiding plate got full, and then my job plate got full, and now I got 2 kids got full. It's like, how many hats can you juggle?
That's right.
Yeah, that's full. That's like the buffet plate with the baby plate full still. Like, damn, I forgot the biscuits. I don't put that on there.
I think you guys got kids too, so that plate usually takes over all the other ones right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. But it's getting fun now that they're like 10, 13, putting in for the youth hunts.
Big kids.
Going on all the... You've been taking your kids, right?
Yeah. My daughter, she was on her first moose hunt with me at 5 weeks old.
Nice.
Shot a bull up on the slope. 5 weeks. It was
pretty cool, man.
Awesome. Brand new baby, yeah.
Yeah. Many people would probably question that decision, but when I found out I drew that tag, that I knew me and my wife both wanted to do that adventure, but I knew we also had to be prepared because, as you guys know, that's pretty remote country. But I built out. I was going to rent an RV for the entire thing and kit it out, and then I looked at the costs, and I'm like, man, I could probably just buy an old van for that. And so I did. I just bought a van, built it from the ground up, hot water, heater in there, sink, everything.
Wow.
Fishing rod holder, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, stove. I just built the whole thing from the ground up. So when we went up there, it's like, yeah, we were really remote, but we were really prepared more than most people, and my wife's a champ.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
8 days on the haul road, with a 5-week-old baby and 2 dogs.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Was it still buggy at all?
Oh, we got the perfect moose hunting weather you could possibly ask for. Like high 20s at night, like barely cusping 40 during the day.
Oh, absolutely perfect.
Perfect. Like when when you're going to call in the morning, like there's going to be some moose around and they're going to be ready and they're going to
see your breath.
It's like, oh yeah,
crispy. Yeah, I really think that if you asked Alaskans as a whole, that taking brand new babies outside is a little more common than you'd think, because you hear a lot of stories of people, with pride. Like, we were outdoor people, and we're not going to let this slow us down. And this baby's going to learn from the beginning. And you see a lot of people out doing stuff like seeing a infant, getting their diaper changed on a dip net boat. Stuff like that where you're like, damn, man, that's ballsy, dude. That's a lot.
I seen a guy rafting, and he had the pack and play in the middle of the raft.
Oh,
exactly.
The little kid is just like,
man, that's wild.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's like, if you really are dedicated to it, you're going to figure out a way.
Yeah.
God, it'd be cool to see some photos of your van and that whole setup, man.
It was pretty sweet. I got a lot of friends that were, checking it out start to finish, because I took a lot of time off work. Ahead of that, I was working on the slope still rotationally, right? And then when you get to a certain point, right, everybody is staying at home, right, just waiting. And so during that whole waiting period, I was staying at home every day, but out in the driveway just working on stuff when my wife didn't need me. And it was cool to keep me like centered and in a spot where, because I'm obviously a guy that likes to be on the move and go out and
you don't sit still well.
In and out.
Yeah, I don't sit still. It took me a long time to learn to sit in a tree stand.
You know what that's called when you're at home in the driveway tinkering and finding projects, and that's called being domesticated.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because I know you like to go around, sniff fire hydrants, and check stuff out all the time, but sometimes you got to bring it back I'm go full domestication.
Yeah.
Is the van still going?
No, actually, sold the van to a close friend of mine after we bought our house. Really liked the van, and we still have arguments in our Cabover Camper about if that was the best decision or not. My wife still misses the van.
Sure.
Me, I like the standing up room of the Cabover, and
Yeah,
I like
it's
the
nice.
4-wheel drive of the diesel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So, like, I did a hunt on the Hall Road last year, late season hunt, October, 6 degrees at Ellsworth Lake, and we had a 4-wheeler trail hooked to the back of the truck, and so we could wake up, have the cab over, didn't have to start it every day to heat everything up. You'd wake up, have hot coffee, and then we could also pull a trailer. So every time we shot a caribou, you didn't have to clean the entire caribou, gut it, clean it out, put it on the trailer,
Yeah.
keep driving, go find your next one.
Okay.
I think that's the ultimate, man, rig.
Yeah.
I think
Love it.
so. I think so.
Because
I mean, motorhomes are nice. You get a little too fancy in there, but then with the 4-wheel drive and the cab over
Yeah.
and all that, it's really nice.
You kind of need a
And it forces you to not be in there the whole time. Like
Right.
the motorhome's really nice. Like you're just like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
you
just
can
gonna hang
just-
in here. It's sprinkling. Let's just go inside.
yeah.
But with that, it's like there's not really too much room to hang out. So you want to be outside, but it's really nice to be in there and warm and sleep in there and all that.
Well, it's really nice too. My favorite part is if you got a long drive, like headed up after work to go fish the Denali, right? And you got a 1 and 3-year-old. You don't want to be out there at 10 o'clock at night putting the tent together.
Yeah, I've
no.
been
It's
there.
just like,
You want to pull over and set up and
Done.
Yeah.
that
That was
my
the worst.
favorite
Setting
part.
that tent up. That was tough.
It's funny, the van, I was thinking about, like, for some reason I'm envisioning the scene with Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. It's got like the barn doors open.
Yeah.
You know, he's throwing the football, and I'm like,
yeah.
I just keep thinking, I was like, your van kind of looked like that, kind of.
It was, so we bought this van up at Glacier View from an air company. It had an air tour. It was like a
So like an Econoline van or something.
93 Dodge, and
Oh,
it
wow.
only had like 90,000 miles on it because they only had used it to run from Glacier View to the Anchorage Airport and back all the time. So, the maintenance records and everything on it was like incredible. 15
Yeah,
passenger,
immaculate.
massive. Got a 360 in there. Super easy to work on. Man, it was just super easy to build out and make it, what we needed it to, especially it's
Very
just
cool.
me, my wife, and the baby. So the dogs, though, that's one thing about having a camper van and having 2 dogs, going out on adventures. You're going to get dog hair and mud everywhere.
Man,
Oh yeah.
you ain't kidding.
Yeah, we know it's bad with
Now
this
you just
weather.
let them sit in the back of the diesel.
Well, yeah, I just open up. They just ride in the cab over, hang out, pop put their dog beds down on the floor.
Yeah.
They just
Oh,
ride
perfect.
back in there.
Yeah.
Sweet. Did you have a camper before kids?
Nope.
Yeah, that's
No.
how it happens to all of us, man.
Backpack hunter,
true.
man.
Yeah,
It took us a long time to even get the van. It's like we still backpacked everywhere. Now that we had 2 kids, that was like our big conundrum. It was like, well, now one of us can't carry gear and one can't carry the baby because we're both gonna have babies. Like, what are we gonna do? Where are we gonna put the gear? And that's where the side by side. It's like the evolution of having kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally, man.
That's right. You'll be at a motorhome soon.
That thing where
That's how it goes, man.
you just like you
They
have
get
to have the
bigger.
motorhome so you can pull the other toys, man. That's the part
That's
that
key.
kills
Well, that's why I also
me.
think that that's the ultimate move because you could still tow whatever you want,
Absolutely.
and you can
Yeah.
4x.
But it's not with kids, dude. We grew up with the camp over, and it's like the kids get big enough and they just sleep in the front of the truck or a tent. Like they outgrow it. What happens?
Yep.
So like, I mean, we had one of those growing up, and I've
Yeah.
never slept in it one time.
Oh,
It's
guys are
like
out
Jack,
in the
set up the tent, sleep in the front of the cab.
Same, yeah.
And the like non-tinted windows in Alaska in the summertime, and you're sleeping in the front of a cab. Then you're 6 foot. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not legit.
It's not
You're like,
ideal.
all right, I'll break out the tent again. But with 2 young ones, it's probably
Oh, yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, we just did that chicken hunt, the 40-mile hunt.
Yeah.
Was that 2 years ago now?
For Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it always worked out really well because I'd never been up there. I've kind of I've always been a backpack hunter.
Yeah.
Like flying to somewhere, go deep and, drive my Chevrolegs.
Yep.
And so we went up
Drive my
there and,
Chevrolets. I like that. I've heard that.
the Subarus.
Subarus, yeah.
And so that worked out good because we got the 4-place Yamaha. We got the Cabover. So not knowing the area, I was like, okay, I want to go to an area where I can park by the road with the Cabover, sleep in the Cabover with kids. And then also I need to find a trail where I don't have to worry about burying it with my 1 and 3-year-old in the back.
Yeah.
Right? And it worked out really, really well, actually. I didn't have to worry about burying it too much as popping a tire in that country. I'd never been up there.
Yeah. Do you go Jack Wade or?
What's that?
Jack Wade Junction, or where'd you go in at?
We went up Taylor, all the way by the border. At one point, I was almost across the border. We were driving in the fog, and I was like looking at my onyx. I'm like, "Whoa, man!
Whoa,
turn
pretty
around."
close here.
Yeah, Jack Wade Junction is that junction like where you're past Chicken, you're almost to the border, and then you can go north to what? It's Eagle.
Oh, yeah.
It's right there. That's Jack Wade. That's a cool country being up on those hills. It's so much different than what we grew up with here around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like also the most like hunting in the lower 48 that I've ever been in.
That was an eye-opening experience because I've always heard about it, but I've
pressure,
never.
You mean?
Oh,
yes.
Oh, okay.
Every 100 yards, someone sat up on that ridge, and it's like the caribou like come down one ridge and then out of the forest at the bottom up, and it's just like and you're like, "Where's my orange?" I don't know. That was my experience.
Well, yeah, that's what I was like. I know there's no caribou around. And why? I was like, because we haven't heard a gunshot.
Yeah.
You take a pair of binos where we were and look around on every high point as far as you could see, and there was somebody standing on it.
Yeah.
And can't really blame them. It's public land.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of caribou when they're there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's a very announced and publicized.
Oh,
Hunt.
way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah. That's why it's one of those things where you can kind of know when you start talking about hunting area or spot where you're like, well, like we're talking too much details here. But you talk about the 40-mile hunt, it's like that's not a top secret fucking hunt.
No. And there's only a few access points too,
Like you got to wear an orange vest, like a lower 48 hunt, right? For most of that?
I felt like I needed it.
I haven't hunted
Are
the
there
ski
areas?
side. I heard that on the ski side that it's crazy. But I think, man, you just, in today's technology with today's communication and social media, you just can't do that with that much limited access because of course, like this year on that 40-mile hunt, I think they killed 680 caribou in one zone in 3 days.
Yeah.
And they were trying to kill 750 out of the entire 4 zones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm giving them a little crap here, but you know what? I'm like,
Well, that just puts everyone more pressure because then everyone knows you have to be there at opening day.
right.
Because it's going to get shut down in 3 days.
And that's why everybody's under pressure to shoot that one caribou that they see running by because they might not get another opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going that way in a lot of different Alaskan areas because of the amount of access issues, the division between state and federal management, the amount of areas we can access to hunt. When that's shrinking, you're just going to see more and more competitive nature.
It's a bottleneck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, like now that Unit 13's pretty much done and that tier hunt's done, like everyone's now like moved on to the 40-mile.
Oh, yeah.
So there's probably way more people there now, which is already insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up with Alyeska?
Oh yeah, Alyeska. Well, Alyeska is a shit show. So I could go on for days.
Like the conditions.
No, just the new ownership of the resort.
So the actual
the company that bought
management.
Yeah, the company that bought the resort doesn't own any ski resorts. They own like high-end hotels with spas, and so there's like little focus on the mountain, and so it's kind of a mess. But yeah, so it opened on Friday.
Oh, it did.
Lower mountain only, and it was like slush. I didn't ski, but
Do they still charge you $180 for one lift?
I don't know what it. I mean, I have a season pass, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
I saw some people complaining
their
that's
price.
like it's still the same price.
Yeah, it's probably ridiculous still. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I buy the season pass. It's like the only way to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of lame that all that snow melted that we got.
Yeah,
It was so nice and it was cool, and now it's
Made
just like
such
break
a
up.
mess.
Yeah, it's so nasty.
I was so pumped to go cross country skiing, and we got 1 week of awesome skate skiing, and then it's all the trails are ruined
They're all
in Anchorage, So they canceled Junior Nordic again tonight. So the kids aren't skiing right now either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we get dumped on. It's supposed to snow 2 feet at Alley tonight.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
So yeah, hopefully we
Well,
get a bunch of snow down there. The top looked good, but usually this time of year, what they'd do is they would just lift you up to the top and keep the bottom closed.
Oh, okay.
You know, but the tram is shut down for maintenance. They didn't plan their maintenance right. So yeah, and this is the second year in a row that's happened with the new ownership. So it's like
It's December.
yeah, we should be being uplifted and yeah.
Yeah, I should really be ready to rock and roll right now.
Yeah.
These guys are not on their game, dude. Signing the kids up for their ski team, like I just was like, fuck you guys, I'm bailing. And so we switched ski clubs this year. That's why the kids have to try out again.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, it's just a total shit show with the signups. I'm friends with all the some of the coaches work for us. Like they're awesome people, but there's like a huge disconnect between like the great people that are actually doing the stuff on the mountain and then the business that's trying to run. I heard that the ski patrol, head of ski patrol and head of mountain operations both quit last week. This is the rumor from the people that actually are on the mountain.
That can't be good.
Yeah, so there must be some stuff going on there. But I know everyone's pretty unhappy with the way they're doing things and really like the lack of care for the locals that have been skiing there for years and care about the resort being a place that we can enjoy it in the future and grow and all the stuff that we care about. So
That's too bad.
yeah.
Hence the big giant dick in the snow last year, right?
That's
all started there, right?
That's what that was about,
It's like,
man.
oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of unhappy people, man.
Yeah, that sucks.
Like you used to run into like the ski coaches and stuff and the ski patrolmen, and they're just so happy, you know, like they were
loving
treated right. It's a good place to be, good pay, and
get to go skiing
everything.
whenever
and,
they want.
And I've that's not the mentality they have right now. So it's really unfortunate.
Well, in this winter right now, you got to remember, like, this is like a false impression of winter.
Oh, yeah.
We got dumped on, and now it's like, oh shit, now it feels like break. Like,
No, it's 48
chill,
degrees.
dog. Thanksgiving was last week. We
Yeah.
have 4 full months
And last
of
year,
wintertime winter.
at the end of winter, it seemed like winter was never going to end.
Yo, man, that
we
was
drug
brutal.
the hell on, dude.
We used a snow machine to get in our bear bait stations. When I guided in Kodiak, we were 3 miles from where we normally camped, and I've been guiding in that spot for 7 years, and that's never happened. It was wild.
yeah,
What area, Kodiak?
We guide the road system.
Okay,
State lane.
Sweet.
Nice.
yeah, dude. We like snowshoed for 2-3 weeks, bait into that area, and was like, is this ever gonna melt? Like the last time I didn't bring my snowshoes, I'm like, all right, man, like the trail's got to be.
You gonna
post hole a few spots, and it was all the way.
I was like a bear coming out of hibernation. I'm like, nope, it's time to hunt. It's time to get bears. All my buddies are like, you're retarded. I'm like, and it got pictures of my tree stands already up. My barrel's in. I'm like, come on, opening day.
Yeah.
Didn't see a bear for 6 weeks.
Yeah,
I was like, why am I checking my camera right now?
Yeah, dude, that's
No.
insane.
It's a lot of patience right there.
And you think it would impact the numbers, but there's more bears than ever this summer, it seemed like.
Oh man, we hit the end of season. So our spring season, it was the worst guiding season on Kodiak I've ever had. We've seen 2 bears in 20 days
Oh,
and
Wow.
shot one of them. It was just super late. Bears need food, right?
Yeah.
No food, no bears. That's where it goes. And then I went and guided my other area on the mainland down in Kenai. Mm-hmm. And first hunt, pretty slow. We saw some bears. Second hunt, hit the rut absolutely perfect. It was like that one night. Like,
Is that like
somebody flipped the
mid-May?
switch. Yeah, it was the third week in May last year is when it
Okay.
happened. And it was like, oh, we're seeing a bear here, seeing a bear there. And then I'm in a stand one night with a client, 14 bears later. It was like, we're killing something tonight. What about that one? Nope. What about that one? I mean, the boars aren't even stopping by the bait barrel at that point. You know, they're just bypassing it. Hey, where's that sow that was here?
yeah.
Oh wow.
And sure
Chasing that
enough,
tail.
14 bears all through the night, shot a 9-foot one. And the first thing in the morning, they kicked the sow off. It was just like,
Awesome.
Damn.
gotta love days in the woods like that.
Damn, what a nice bear.
Archery?
Yeah, archery bear.
Sweet.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep, 30 yards.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That's
Hell yeah.
awesome, man.
It was a weird year though.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the winter just like go away.
yeah. I know a lot of guides that were just like scratching their head. What I found really surprising is so last year in the spring, I saw probably 8 winter kill moose in different spots. And then during spring baiting, I would run into bull moose and moose all the time coming out of my stands. Last winter, last spring I didn't see any winter kill moose, but I saw no moose going in and out of my bait stand all season. I only had one on camera. And then my wife had the cow moose tag, and it was like, man, you couldn't shake a tree and find a moose.
Really?
It was really, really hard to find moose this year.
In the November one?
She had the 410 tag.
Yeah, that one's like what, like
August? You said?
Yeah,
that's right.
That's normal Unit 14 hunting season window, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was hard to find them.
Really?
Yeah, well, we did pass on a couple because I had just blown out my knee, so I was like, yeah, middle of the flats, standing out there. I'm like, you're safe. Like, I'm not backing a moose out of there.
Yeah, no shit.
There's at least 2 that we could have shot that were, it was just, yeah.
Couldn't have got the side-by-side to him?
No, non-motorized.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
It was like, chest waders back. No. It's like one leg.
You blew your knee, blew out.
What happened to the knee?
Yeah.
Totally forgot. August, I went on a solo goat hunt. Super early season for goats.
Yeah.
Don't recommend going that early for goats because they're way up high and got short hides. But I drew a tag and I felt like
the bugs are horrendous.
Oh, dude, black flies down there. Black flies.
Yeah.
And
they just burrow.
Dude, just biting. The one day I chose to climb
through your clothes too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even the goats, like watching the goats were getting driven crazy by the flies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I shot a goat opening day, August 10th. Pilot was coming to pick me up the next day. Woke up on the 11th, 5 a.m., packed up camp, packed in my goat. Pilot's going to land at the lake at 1 o'clock. Made it 400 yards down. Pack got caught in the alders, tripped, and blew my ACL.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Big heavy load on?
Oh, bro, the heaviest.
That probably didn't help, huh?
Yeah, not at all. I was laying, when it happened, I thought what it felt like was somebody took a baseball bat and just hit the side of my knee. Like, instant impact. But what I thought was like a rock fell off and smoked the side of my knee or something. I thought it was broke. And man, I was like laying there with my pack on top of me, face in the alders. And I'm trying to whoa,
Yeah.
perfect trip. All of a sudden I'm like laying on my face in the alders going, dude, is my leg broken or not? It was all bad. Yeah.
How'd you get it down?
Oh, so
just rolled it,
man, about 600 yards. Yeah. So on the way down, I was like, I remember looking at the mountain. I'm looking at pictures I took. I said, I think I could take this other route and make it. And I've hunted goats. That was my 13th goat, and I was in an area where it is probably the steepest mountain goat territory I've been in. Consistent territory. Yeah. For every 1 foot forward, I was going 3 foot up.
Yeah, totally.
So I had rock climbing gear and everything with me.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Pretty advanced area for goat hunting. And on the way down, so that happened. So I just started scooting on my butt for a little bit because I thought my leg was broke when it happened. I've never broken a bone in my life, but when you're severely hurt,
the pain is
something
just
is
next
bad.
level. Mm-hmm.
So I just started, it was steep enough for a while, and there's vegetation. I'm just scooting on my butt from one alder to the next.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon I come through the alders. I'm plowing through the alders on my butt. It opens up, and there's just a steep face with a trickle, and there's no vegetation. I'm just cliffed out, and I'm like, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't go back up. I had the whole pack on and everything.
Sure.
And so I just unclipped my pack and had to let it go. And I watched it. I had my bow on there, the goat, everything. But it was like, well, you can't move. You got one leg.
This isn't really caring too much about your items at this point, right?
So, I let it go, and there was a ledge. I knew it wasn't going to fall all the way down the mountain, but I let it go and went end over end, about 600 yards, watched it plowing through stuff on the way down. And so I was able to scoot my butt down that way, and I just kept scooting on my butt till eventually I caught back up in my pack. And at that point, there's about a 100-yard plateau that was pretty flat, mostly covered in giant boulders, and it was like, okay, at this point, I need to figure out, I can't crawl through this.
Yeah.
I need to figure out, can I stand and put weight on my leg?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of serious one-on-one conversations where you have to be completely honest with yourself, which is way harder than most people would think, because you're my pride is like, man, I can hike a lot of miles. I can climb a lot of places. Like,
I got this.
yeah, like, can you do that?
There's no clarity in your thoughts.
Yeah, it's
right.
like-
You're like, ah.
Like, do you think you can do it? Or,
Yeah.
you know, because you always read stories about when you get in situations, people make silly decisions, and then they make that bad situation worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't want to do that. So if I'm going to get rescued, this is the place where they could rescue me.
Oh, right.
Or
yeah.
if I can keep going,
Push it.
I need to find out, like, can I put weight on my leg? So I stood up on my weight on my leg, and the whole time, you know, I was picturing is like standing up. You see UFC fighters.
Oh,
standing
yeah.
on
Oh,
their
my
bumbles.
God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because when it happened, that's what I thought is that bone on the outside of your calf. I thought that broke in half, and you know, so I stood up and I'm like, oh, I'm okay. Like this is, and I took about 2 steps and whoosh, my knee gave out and fell flat on my face again, and it felt like 2 pieces of bone like coming apart and going back together. And what it was like the bones on top of my knee hitting the bones in the middle of my knee because there was no ligaments holding them together.
Right.
And but what that told me was like, okay, well, you're not perfect, but you can put some weight on your leg.
Yeah.
And then remember I had rock climbing gear, so I was like,
Sure.
okay, if it gets too nasty, just man up, rope up, and you're not going to fall off the mountain at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I didn't. It's all over the place, so I didn't really consider to inventory my gear. And in my head, I'm like, well, I got my rock climbing harness, my rope, everything. Worst case, I can anchor up, I can rappel down, and I actually kept going, like 6 inches at a time. Got to a point where I'm like, okay, I can rappel from here down to that, re-anchor up, rappel down in one more, and I'm on the bottom. That's when I rolled over my pack and realized my rope was gone.
Oh no.
And it's like,
Like it came separated in the roll.
yeah, like later I realized like I picked up my pack and everything, but I lost my tripod, my arrows, my quiver, my rope. I know somebody's gonna go on that section of the mountain and be like, "What the hell happened?" Here?
Yeah.
There's a yard sale going on.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like it just was like, screw it. You know, I looked around for a bit, but in my head, like, man, I can't believe I didn't notice my 300-meter rope's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good chunk of rope.
Pile of rope on there.
Exactly. That's what I was like.
Yeah.
2 rappels, I'm done. And yeah, at that point, it still took me, because he was going to come get me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was texting him on my inReach, like, hey, I twisted my knee. My wife's on her way from Wasilla to Homer to come pick me up. And I'm like debating on telling her in case I did fall even more. But I'm like, why stress her out with 2 kids in traffic? She can't do anything, right? So
Yeah.
like,
Just worry.
yeah, so ended up crawling my way down the rest of the way. I mean, there was definitely some dicey points where it was just like, oh, God, you know, you got 1 leg and 2 hands. You know?
You had to really pay attention.
Yeah. Got in back to the lake 10 minutes before the plane showed up. He put me in the front and hauled me out of there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man.
Phew.
So what, you're going to get it operated on?
Yeah, I got to give him a shout out. Brad Sparks reached out to me. He's an orthopedic surgeon. Saw my post on Facebook as a little bit of PSA. Hunt season started off with a pretty rocky start here in Alaska this year. You know, there's a couple fatalities. Another guy got hurt. Another guy blew his knee out. Then I blew my knee out. So it's just like kind of give a PSA to out some of the hunters, and you just slow down. You know, things like in my instant go from a perfect trip to all of a sudden you're laying on your face thinking your leg's broken.
Yeah.
You know, and Brad saw that, reached out to me, and was like, hey, if you want a second opinion or what have you, happy to help you out. And I was like, well, I can't even get a first opinion yet because everybody's 2 or 3 weeks out.
Booked out.
So got me an MRI the next day, checked out my leg, let me know immediately what was wrong with it. And, so he's going to do the surgery here in a couple weeks.
Nice. Nice.
Repair my ACL and hopefully be back on the mountain by August, hunting sheep with my bow again. So
Ooh, that's quite a goal. I've had it twice.
Ooh.
ACL. It's not fun.
How long was your recovery?
I would say a year. I'd say a year. 8 to 12 months for sure. Till you feel good.
Like you can still do some stuff within the 5 to 6 month range, but then that year is where you need to gain your full strength and confidence.
Yeah, where
back,
it's not
right?
like in the back of your mind anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're thinking about it the whole time, then you're thinking about it the whole time. you know?
Yeah, I did a couple hunts this fall after that happened against the advice of my doctor.
Oh,
but
sure.
Guys got to pay the bills too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of guys that never even replaced it. Like, just leave it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
even my first surgeon or my second surgeon, he never even, and he's a big time hunter, John Frost. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have ACL, and he's like a major sheep hunter dude. And he just builds up all his muscles around the knee and never actually got another ACL.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's like I did a goat hunt in September, and that hunt, it was just, it feels really, you don't trust it at all, especially
it's
going
unstable.
Yeah.
downhill. I went and stepped out of the tent at like midnight one night to take a piss and stepped in the only hole on the side of the mountain.
Oh, damn it, dude.
And of course, didn't have my brace on, right? Because it's dark 30, you know, and I felt like my knee was going to go backwards, man. I was just like laying on the ground for like 10 minutes. I was like, God damn it. The only
Kind of questioning, like, dude, what am I doing? Like, pushing it too hard.
Well, yeah, that was the only hunt, and the rest of the season I already had a client. You know, me and this client too had kind of built a relationship because he's a hardcore bow hunter I've had before. I was on a mission to shoot a goat with my bow, and he knew that my hunt was right before him. So me and him had been talking about prep like every week, more than just a guide and a client normally.
Oh, sure.
'Cause
Morning, noon, and night text messages back and forth and shit. Yeah.
We're like both, he's shooting, I'm shooting, what's your group's doing, what's my group's doing, like what do you know,
Yeah.
and it's funny, we laughed at each other because right before his trip, he broke a pinky and came up on this goat. I had one knee, he had a pin going through the tip of his pinky, so he had this cast on his pinky, couldn't bend it.
Oh, shit.
I'm told if you're using a trekking pole without a pinky, that it's kind of a pain in the butt.
that puts a lot of pressure right now.
But I'm like, man, what a pair. One guide with one knee, the other guy's got the handle strapped out. Ugh.
Determined. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters and outdoor enthusiasts with the highest quality gear and equipment since they opened their doors in 1963. Barney's carries exclusive brands such as Alpaca Rafts, Sitka Sims, Exo Mountain Gear, Hilleberg, and much more. Barney's prides themselves with keeping a huge stock on hand of various top-of-the-line tents, footwear, sleeping bags, optics, cross-country skis, just to name a few. Barney's is also the exclusive retailer of Montana Knives, Seek Outside, Kafaru, Stone Glacier, and their in-house brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska. Barney's has a superior selection of top-rated boots, sleeping bags, dry bags, mountaineering gear, electronics, and accessories. Need freeze-dried food or mountain snacks? They got that too. Barney's now has an amazing new paperback catalog available for in-store pickup or online order. Visit them today at barneysports.com, or even better, stop by the store in Anchorage at 906 West Northern Lights. If you want the best, there's only one name in the game, Barney's Sports Chalet.
Alaska Mining and Diving Supply, located in Anchorage for 47 years, has expanded 3 stores. The main store, the largest Skidoo sled dealer in North America, also has Can-Am, Sea-Doo, Climb, Suzuki Outboards, Honda Outboards, generators and snowboards, Kingfisher boats, and so much more. Alaska Motorsports and Equipment just next door, which was previously Anchorage Suzuki Arctic Cat, for all your Arctic Cat, Suzuki ATV, Husqvarna, Generac, Mahindra Tractor, and now Argo Pro and Sasquatch needs. And to round it out, also next door, the brand new Alaska Mining Superstore, for the largest selection of recreational and light commercial mining equipment anywhere, period.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaska public lands, waters, and wildlife. From national level policy work to engagement with boots on the ground projects from Kotzebue to Ketchikan. BHA performs public land cleanups, hunting and fishing clinics, and community education to help take your game to the next level. BHA's community-minded goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping wildlands wild and fostering the next generation of sportsmen and women for years to come. Make sure to follow BHA Alaska for upcoming events, local brewery pint nights, and more. Stand up for Alaska public lands and waters by supporting the Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Join us today at backcountryhunters.org.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. When you pull up to the Treehouse, you'll notice the beautifully hand-drawn art by Alaska's own Ted Kim. Once you get inside, you're going to see many of the same people that have been there since they opened. The bud tenders know you and what you like and what new product you should be checking out. The store is super clean and the music's always on point. The Treehouse and local owner Josh Boots is a staple in the cannabis culture through his music, community givebacks, and a lifetime desire to bring the people of Alaska the best products available. The Treehouse always has at least 25 strains available, and they're all shown prominently deli style in clear, openable jars so you can see and smell your options. Other products include edibles, concentrates, vape carts, pre-rolls, flour, dab rigs, and anything else you need, they got it. They also have some pretty sick merchandise for sale. Check out thetreehouseak.com, or better yet, stop by the Treehouse today and get started on their loyalty program. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
Yeah, and the cinnamon's pretty. You can really get the cinnamon flavor in this batch too.
It's definitely a Christmas drink.
Yeah, it's very Christmassy.
Yeah, very Christmassy.
Very holiday season feel to it.
So I didn't realize that the Alaska Outdoor Council was around since 1955.
Yeah, been around a long time. It was very nerve-wracking taking this position with the organization, looking at the history and having that history, full access to that history.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading an article the other day by Wayne Heimer that is called The Experiment of Full Curl Regulations in Alaska. I mean, I'm like, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, dude.
You know, there was an advertisement in an AOC magazine, used to be called Out of Doors Alaska, Pinnell and Talveson in there. You know, reading like some of those articles and people that have been involved in this organization, it was like, man, am I the guy to be filling these shoes?
Yeah.
Right. You know, but it's been incredibly rewarding. Incredibly. Yeah. You know, when I got first offered this position, my response was, I don't think I'm qualified for this. And the board said, we think you're perfect for this. So, yeah. And it's worked out really well. You know, AOC, you know, in 1955, you know, if you think about it, 3 different nonprofit sportsmen's group, you know, Matt Valley Sportsmen's, TSI, Tanana Valley, 3 different parts of the state came together and said, you know, we need a united voice on outdoor issues in Alaska. Yeah. You know, and came together and made this massive force. You know, and today, you know, we got 30 clubs all together between all the different clubs, you know, probably 6,000 plus members. You know, wow. It's huge.
There you go.
You know, and the amount of issues, like when I got involved with AOC, originally I thought it was a little like we have an issue, we work on it, push on it, advocate for it, raise money for it, cross the finish line, throw our hands up, woohoo, we got to win. But I really describe it now as it's kind of like being on a hamster wheel, because there's so many issues constantly affecting our rights to hunt, fish, trap, and access public land that if you don't keep up that pace, you know, your opposition is going to gain ground on you very quickly. And in today's world with social media, and marketing, and the media in general, and politics, which is an unfortunate side of game management in Alaska, you just got to stay on top of it, man. And it can be tiring, really tiring at times.
Stay in front, right?
Yeah. It seems like it'd be really hard to like prioritize, because it's like you can only put like so much effort in this front and that front, and it's like what's not getting, you know, do we get the quick hanging fruit here, or do we go the long haul and miss out on these other opportunities? Oh yeah.
That is the ultimate challenge. You know, we've been involved in cases such as John Sturgeon's case. John Sturgeon was on our board when that case. We were one of the biggest backers on that case, and that was prior to my time with AOC. But right now, like, we're in some cases where we'd filed an amicus brief against the Federal Subsistence Board for closing Unit 13, and then I'm doing Mod Road winter access right now.
Okay,
you know what I mean? So like the range of issues and programs is just huge and ever changing constantly. I'm talking to Alaskans constantly that it might be an access issue in Talkeetna, or it might be an issue on the North Slope, or we got the Board of Game coming up, so we got to prioritize that. So me and the former executive director, who's now our policy director, Rod Arno, like when me and him have a conversation, it could range from everything from commercial fishing to sport fishing to caribou to
so many times,
so wide of a
right?
Totally.
But it's important, and that just emphasizes the importance of everybody being involved. because like even with AOC, right, we have a board that's made up of all these member clubs. Like their leadership, they select, and then those guys come to our board. So our board's made up of nonprofit leadership from all around Alaska. So we have a wide diversity of input. But with those massive amount of issues, you know, you still only have so many people and so much time of the day.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what drove me to get involved, you know, is Dunleavy at one of our banquets that said, hey, if you're not an advocate, you're a victim. And, you know, and he was absolutely right. You know, if I wasn't showing up to a board game or didn't get involved with AOC, I'm relying on somebody else to show up to a board game and advocate for my opportunity, right? And my kids' opportunity too. You know?
And then you're on the sideline just bitching about it at the end of the day and not really doing anything.
Or commenting on Facebook. Or
Well, I encompass that. I just encompass that in bitching about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and we have such a good process in Alaska that is so frustrating that you can go to the board game and anybody can put in a proposal. Anybody can show up and advocate for anything.
Right.
You know, and I've seen some folks, I mean, kids from villages advocating for their ability to hunt sea ducks, you know, because that's part of their diet. You get guides that's part of their business, you know, but that is really the place that it matters, you know, and we're so lucky to have a management system like that where you can show up and voice your opposition or support to make something like that happen, you know, and that's why I joined AOC and become part of it, because as you guys obviously are aware that I like to hunt, fish, trap, access public land, not so much trap, but you know, I support somebody's right to trap. Sure.
And what's kind of crazy is like, even when we go through like the right due process and get something pushed through the right way, like Ira's Kincaid hunt.
Oh yeah.
Then we get, you know, someone suing, and it's like, we went through the right process. You had an opportunity to kind of intervene then, and this was what through our kind of process we chose. So like, let's continue this. But it's crazy that the bureaucracy can continue.
Oh yeah. And Ira's, I mean, talk about a well-researched plan for a perfect hunt. Yeah. You know, to provide opportunity for somebody who's disabled and can't go do it. I mean, they own those resources too. That's guaranteed by the Alaska State Constitution. Right. And they have every right to harvest that opportunity just like everybody else can. And the argument for why that hunt shouldn't take place was absolutely appalling.
Yep. So we ski there. My kids do ski the Junior Nordic, which is awesome. That club is amazing. And we walk through there all the time, like just little kids walking through when they're 2, 3, 4 years old. And every time we go in there, there's tons of moose. So just the testimony.
There's only 6.
Yeah, it was like, it is so off, right? It's not authentic. It's not true. But yeah, anyway, so I feel that what I was going to get at is I have witnessed, and about every time I pick the kids up, it's like, which kid almost got stomped by a moose today during the Junior Nordic ski season. And so it's like the moose, the amount of moose in that park right now is at a dangerous level for us recreational users. And I'm not worried about me, but I am worried about 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids getting stomped by a moose, because you're in skis, you come around the corner, you know.
Oh yeah, and a lot of them, like I shoot at the archery range there a lot. Right? We shot state there, and at state, the group that was with me, we're whacking a cow moose on the nose with an archery stabilizer, a 30-inch archery stabilizer, because it charged us about 24 times. I had my 3-year-old daughter on my back in a backpack carrier, and had 4 other people with us during a state archery tournament. Yeah. There was probably 50 people out on those trails. Yep. You know, and it's just like, what difference is like 4 moose in the fall after tourist season, October? Yep. You know what I mean? It's not going to take away the trophy value of killing any bulls. Right. It's going to be in a 2-week part of the year, you know, in a remote parts of the park. I mean, if you did it just during the archery area, right? Just the archery area. You could close that area and you could harvest 4 moose super easily. Absolutely. And the amount of support, like I would go pack that guy's entire moose out myself.
We all would. Yep. I would be in on that.
Yeah. Where are they at with that?
Well, the lot. Well, you would probably.
I kind of wanted to see, elaborate on the testimony, maybe for those of us that haven't heard the whole story. A quick preview on Ira's side, and then in the support, and then the quick preview on why not.
Sure. So I don't want to misspeak, because Ira would definitely be the best person to lay this out. But he researched a lot of aspects about this, right? He's talked to a lot of different people. First, So basically, in terms of the municipality, he had to get it agreed on by the state, right? If the state agreed it, then it just came down to, I believe, like the park director for the city, right? And so he went to the Board of Game. We were in Soldotna, met him there. He proposed it. Overwhelming support there. Not a single person was opposition of that because, I mean, and everybody applauded him for an extremely well thought out plan.
Oh, yeah.
It is. And then, from my understanding, when it got before the assembly, an attorney from Anchorage who recreates in the area wanted it stopped based on constitutionality, from my understanding. Was that, okay, so equal access is kind of a basis of Alaska State's constitution. Everybody should have equal access to resources. Her argument was that it's unconstitutional because not everybody can be disabled. They want to have equal access.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Not everyone can be disabled.
Well, I could give her equal access. Come on.
Oh yeah, and it's just like one of these things that, like, you know, the plaintiff or whatever is the attorney. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, where, you know, no one's gonna go spend $350 an hour to have this done, but you know, because of schooling and whatever, this person can do it on their own. But yeah, and it's not like this person like really put themselves in the shoes of many disabled Alaskans that would love to eat wild game and have the same abilities that we have to provide, which, I mean, that is a constitutional right too. Right. So and then you have a disabled person that doesn't even want to do the hunt themselves. They want to open it up for other disabled people. To put this whole thing together and do basically there's all kinds of support on the ground from Kincaid at the beginning. And then he brought it to the next level. He does everything kind of right. You know, he touches all the right people on the way.
He knows how to do it.
You know, he had made sure that the park department with locally and through the Muni was going to be okay with it and that allow the hunt and actually spend the time and resources to shut down the parts of the park or however they were going to do it. And so he did all the right things. He did the right process. He did something that's great for Alaskans. And then is just, you got one sour person who's just thinking inward and not community oriented, like thinking what's better for the group here in the community, you know, but you know, whatever, but we're kind of, hopefully that kind of goes away. We'll see.
Yeah, the last time I talked to Ira, it sounds like they're pursuing some state legislation to hopefully get that pushed through. I don't know all the details on that, but I do know, I mean, one of the most well-thought-out proposals I've ever seen at a Board of Game.
That's awesome.
We'll see where it goes, I guess.
Yeah, it's great. And I remember he gave us a sneak peek on that when we had him in very early on.
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I'm gonna propose this. And I was like, wow. Yeah. That's ballsy.
Yeah, I've seen a
But
lot.
like, hell yeah, fucking rooting you on, man.
I've seen some opposition from the hunting community because apparently in his proposal, so it was for crossbow, muzzle loader, shotgun.
Yeah.
And maybe just shotgun muzzle loader, but they Board of Game changed it to add archery. You know, and he didn't even originally ask that, but I've heard a lot of bow hunters are like, don't want that because apparently there's been a Kincaid Park hunt in the past, and you know there were some moose running around with an arrow.
Yeah, I think that was a hillside one, but yeah, there was. Yeah, and that happened in like the mid. I was here, so I want to say it's like 87 or 88, and they used to allow archery, and that's why they went away.
Well,
from
and the shotgun muzzleloader would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
And man, it's just, it seems like there's a lot of instant reactions when you got issues like that from people who don't even take the time or don't even care enough to take the time
Oh yeah.
to find out about it.
Just knee jerk.
Yeah, a little bit of a side trail here, but like a few years ago, we helped with the governor to pass opening up ATVs on roadways. And if you read the comment sections on that, it's like, you're going to have a 13-year-old drive downtown Anchorage on a four-wheeler? And it's just like,
what?
That's not what this says.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But there was a massive reaction to that where some cities, like, they instantly banned it, you know, because he gave that authority. Hey, he's... You know, but in some parts of Alaska, a four-wheeler on a roadway is natural.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Like when I went to Nunivak,
Kids grow
there's
up
more
with that
four-wheelers than there are cars.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the way there is. But, you know, we just, in today's world, so many people want to read the title of an article before they even want to get involved in the issue.
Yeah.
You can sway a lot of people's opinion by a correctly worded title. Doesn't matter what's in the article or what's actually involved in the issue at all.
Just that first impression.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Facebook.
Yeah.
All those trolls out there. And luckily with
they're
those
terrible.
issues on Facebook, it's just a new one tomorrow and everyone forgets about yesterday.
That's true.
Changes dramatically. I mean, it's helped out in a lot of ways. It's helped out with me working on this organization, getting the voice out and getting people involved in issues.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's grown opposition to a lot of issues quite a bit. It just depends on your spin on a lot of things.
Yeah. What are some of the current priority issues you're working on?
Well, the Federal Subsistence Board is always a priority. 60% of land mass in Alaska, right? It's federal land, and there is a big headbutting going on between the state and federal management, and how that who gets to manage it, right? According to the state and according to NOCA, the wildlife belongs to the state of Alaska to own and manage. Well, the Park Service, the feds, BLM, the White House, they all feel different, right?
Yeah.
And so that's always going to be the number one priority, because you're looking at millions of acres that are potentially closing all the time. Just this year, they almost closed ABC Islands to non-local hunters for deer hunting, and we have a 6 deer limit down there. 6 deer. And if you read through the comment section on the testimony, why? Why would you want to close this area when you have so many deer? Well, it's because they didn't want non-local hunters go hunt in the bays that they did. That was the only reason. And with that federal process, that's all it takes. And that emphasizes the importance of showing up. Unit 13, when they closed 1.5 million acres of public land up there, it was because one guy said there was safety conflicts with Wasilla and Anchorage folks going up there to hunt in that area. And that's all it took. In one meeting.
Oh, just people beefing?
Yeah, 1.5 million acres of public land closed based on one person, one federal subsistence user's input.
When was this?
It was like 2-3 years ago. Unit 13A and 13B. 2-year closure. Unit 24 right now, Hall Road. Close to sheep hunting.
Right.
One person's input, because and the Federal Subsistence Board process, the whole board is made up of federal subsistence users, right? And so if you're a non-federal subsistence user that recreates in that area, they don't have to listen to your input, even though that public land supposedly belongs to all of us.
Falls on deaf ears.
And there has to be there's no process that says you have to prove that there was a safety conflict or prove that there's a conservation issue.
Right.
It just, however they choose to vote to close that.
Wow.
Which is, if you look at the amount of public land being closed, it's astronomical. In some cases, there's a conservation issue. Nobody's saying that, locals shouldn't have a priority, people that are surviving off that. But when there's not, like the ABC Islands with 6 deer limit, it's like, this is really the process we're going to use to close millions of acres of public land.
Well, and that's not a natural, that's implanted deer, right?
In Southeast, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think
I don't know the
I think a lot of the blacktail down there are native.
Okay, that's true.
I'm not completely sure on that.
That's where I guess that would be that's what the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, wait a minute, is that a natural resource or a planted one? Because then that's a really fucked up deal. You're going to shut that down when it's it's not even natural. You know what I mean? Like that species isn't really technically even supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a mix too.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think.
sure. Yeah, we can look it up sometime.
The blacktail is native to that area, though.
They need to make they need to put elk on Montague though. So
They need to put elk in Caribou Hills down in the Kenai.
that would be rad.
That'd
But
be cool.
you want to talk about another issue that gets massive amount of opposition. Me and the governor the last couple of years, we've been talking about this. Not the elk, but we've been talking about implementing animals. Blacktail in South Central. You want to talk about, you think, you shot somebody's firstborn or something, it was like, whoa, you can't do that, and because the governor is very pro-hunting, very pro-sportsman. And for, his outlook on it is just like when they planted those goats and planted the deer on Kodiak, is that, if you got an elk in your backyard that you can hunt, well, you don't have to go spend that money at the grocery store to go buy it.
And
you don't
it's a
have to go
wild
fly to
game.
somewhere else. Yeah, it's natural, right? And, a large part is why they're looking at, we've been going to meetings for wood bison. You guys kind of
we
familiar?
love wood.
Yeah.
Dude, so they're up to, looking at putting them in Minto Flats and the Yukon right now. There's a whole process we've been getting involved in on where they're actually planning the next stage of wood bison, which they are actively right now.
Nice.
So in the next year or two, we're going to see more of that.
That'll be the second herd.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and a big part of that is where it goes is because if it's on federal land, well, then we might not lose management of that. And if it crosses private corporations' land, well, maybe they want a priority and want to manage access. Well, then you just cut off access to the rest of Alaskans if you put it on private land, too.
Right.
So it's really a rigorous process. And because, like with the first wood bison, they're not endangered, because if they call them endangered and they put them outside their village, well, then that village can't do a whole lot of stuff either because endangered habitat.
Right.
So it's a big process to decide on where they go and where's the best part of where they're going. But one thing, like our governor is like very pro, like how can we put more species? In the 1920s, we were all about let's put elk and reindeer. I'm on that same page.
Dude, let's do it, man. Yeah, a Kenai sounds great. Montague would be epic. But so would Kenai.
I think we need to supplement our Dall sheep with some stones too.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Dang, I never even heard of that.
The
idea.
interbreeding thing's kind of crazy with them, though. It might like result in like all being this hybrid that you see in the Canada.
It would probably be start turning like they'd all be looking like stones. I think that's still kind of. You know, when they see, get a sheep, it's got so many black hairs. I'm like, come on. That's adult sheep. Come on.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, is there one of the big factors, like biology and diseases and things, maybe something that's more of a red flag to doing something like that than back then?
It seems like to me, and it seems like you would look at like all like the bacteria and disease stuff, but it's like, how does that impact like your current the habitat, the current lives, animals that live in the area, and is it gonna like mess with that ecosystem? And if it doesn't, I mean, throw them on. But these places that are totally man-made, like Montague, like those bears weren't there.
No, those are natural.
Are they?
Yeah, brown bears are natural to Kodiak and Montague.
I thought on Montague they weren't. Okay, well, I'm wrong. But there's a ton that we're putting on there. And the blacktails weren't natural.
No,
so
not at all.
It's not like it's supernatural right now.
Yeah, like the goats on Kodiak, I mean, you can't talk about a more perfect marriage right there.
Yeah.
I mean, they breed like crazy. And the feds, a lot of the federal management is very head scratching, because they're not natural, and they want the federal land to be just like how it was when we found it. Let nature take its course. Very limited management and active management in there. They don't realize human impact as a part of natural environment. So to them, they want all those goats removed. Just like down in, I think it was Washington, where they were shooting them out of helicopters, remove them down there. It kind of the same thing, So I mean, a big part of what we do is that federal state management, because a lot of Alaskans, we like to hunt to eat.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Feds are looking at public land and access for everybody, a place to visit, tourism. Their management goals are completely different.
Sure.
Until it becomes an issue. When they start having predator issues or something, then let's start looking at things a little different. But like last year, they're looking at getting away from predator prey management at all on federal lands.
Really?
It's like, if you like to hunt caribou and moose, that's a big problem.
Oh man, jump back into a 25-year cycle.
Right.
I don't think any of us want that.
Are those people that are on those federal management boards Alaskans? Or they get flown up for these meetings? And
it's a variety. Like the federal subsistence boards are all federal subsistence users.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to find any federal subsistence users that's against hunting bears, because they like to eat caribou and moose too.
Yeah.
But it goes from the top down. You think like, the biggest part about this job that I'm not a big fan of is politics. But if you want to do anything when it comes to game management and wildlife in Alaska, politics is a huge part of that.
You got to kind of put your boxing gloves on and go to work, huh?
Yeah, the Department of Interior manages federal land. That's 60% of Alaska's land mass. So Biden puts Haaland in charge of the Department of Interior. She makes the decisions in Alaska when she's been here a few times ever. Yeah. Right? So those decisions are getting made in Washington and not even getting made by most people here.
With the federal subsistence users, like that, let's talk about, was it Unit 26 that got shut down up on the slope for sheep?
Yep. And
So-
24 and
20.
Oh, right
Yeah.
along the corridor.
yep.
So could the federal subsistence users still go harvest sheep in that area?
So the proposal that they passed, nobody can,
Okay.
which is kind of a unique thing that usually doesn't happen often. They are seeing a decline in that area for sure.
Right.
There's no denying that. So in that particular case, then they close it for everybody. But in most of these cases, like Board of Game process coming up, you can look at that. It even trickles it over into the Alaska Board of Game process. Look at the closures they're proposing right now in 26 and 25 and 18 and other areas where they're looking at closing it to non-local users only. And some of that areas, it makes sense. Some of those areas, it's like, the amount of trophy hunters in Western Alaska that are going up there to hunt moose, they're targeting, 100, 200 moose in an entire year.
Yeah.
There's over 10,000 shot locally. How can you really point to those groups that are making the impact there?
Totally.
And it's always hard to compete with winter. But, the issue when all these populations start dwindling, right, everybody is very passionate about it, which is good. We're all passionate about it because it's a big part of our lives in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
We hunt, fish, take our kids outside. Our kids are raised on wild game, so of course we're all going to be passionate about it.
We don't want to lose it.
And then when those populations start dropping, like sheep and caribou and everybody has a different opinion on how to save it, and they're all passionate about it, which is good, but we start getting into this fight of who gets the biggest chunk of the pie.
Right.
Right. Unit 19C, you guys familiar with the closure going on there? There's a big fight in allocation, right? Because some guides, like their livelihood is there. There was a proposal to close 19C to 5 to 10 years to non-locals and locals, everybody. It came from the local ACs. They just want to close it to everybody.
This is for sheep.
For sheep,
Yeah.
yeah. They closed it to non-locals, left it open to locals, and the Board of Game changed that on the spot. That was not their original proposal. What that has caused, though, is some nonprofits, some guides, the hunting community strongly divided, very passionately, right? But then, so some guys that are close friends of mine are on the opposite side of the aisle, and you see these conversations on social media and stuff where people are just butting heads and getting nasty.
Yeah.
Well, how well do you think they're going to speak when they actually need to show up on an issue when an anti-hunting organization suing the state or a federal subsistence
where
board?
you have to come together as a team.
Right. And then
But you come in divided.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we lose what I think should be the focus in the conversation sometimes. Like 19C, their survey showed 7 legal sheep, right?
Yeah.
We're literally talking about single-digit number of harvestable surplus. And what's the focus on the conversation? Who gets to kill them?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the wrong conversation.
To me, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
100%.
completely the wrong conversation.
We went
Yeah,
in
we're
there.
not looking long game
We went
here.
and flew in there, and it's just devastating what's happened to D and C. It's, it just like broke my heart.
Yeah, and I think, we can disagree. I like some of my friends, we strongly disagree, and we'll never agree on some of those issues, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for people that show up and voice their opinion one way or the other. I don't, even if I disagree with you.
At least they showed up.
But I think our focus on all these, the kings, the clams, the caribou, the doll sheep, notice the trends here. And
Hell yeah.
I just have a hard time believing there's nothing we can do that's all weather.
Yeah.
And I bump heads with a lot of guys in the sheep world because of that, right? And some of the biologists, which is fine. But like growing up on the Kenai, I was born and raised down there, and in my teenage years, I'd spend 5 days a week in those mountains, right? Kurt from Stone Glacier hunted the same areas that we hunted. Me and him have talked about those areas a lot, right? That area is open right now to general harvest hunting and has an 80% decline in sheep. 80% decline in a species of animal that only exists in this state.
Yeah.
But all the draw tags in those areas are closed. I have a really big problem with that. And it's just like, and how can we just say there's nothing we can do?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then when we start looking at issues like the Haul Road with the closure on sheep, it's like, what do we do and what do we say as state hunters to keep that area from closing when, we got other areas that are hurting even worse or even bad? It's just like, what do you even say in that situation, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I certainly don't have the answers, but it is, I mean, we got to do something different.
Yeah.
We had
Mind-boggling.
We had kind of poked around on just, bullshitting on the pod about this, about sheep specifically, is, maybe they could do like a tiered permit system, and get rid of harvest tags for sheep, but make it easier to get, than the other tags. And they're like in a different division. So you can apply for these ones that used to be harvest ones, the current ones, and then the current draw tags separately. But something that limits some access and basically, helps sustain the sheep population from the hunter pressure side. So our kids can go do this stuff.
Right.
Because, I've been sheep hunting since I was a little kid, and it is a completely different world. And if it's on the same trajectory, just the same trajectory as 10 years, our kids won't be sheep hunting.
Yeah, especially on the Kenai.
We might not be sheep hunting.
Yeah.
Right, and that's, I had the hardest time because I drew that tag this year to go goat hunting, and I was like, the only time I had available was during sheep season.
Yeah,
and I was just like, well, should I be sheep hunting anyways? And it's like, such a hard thing because there's so many people, as you know, like full curl management does not affect sheep populations. No hunting pressure does, right? And that's where this is where the biggest issues I have with other sheep hunters are. They're like, stop talking about closing anything, we'll never get it back. And it's just like, well, what we can do, or, the possibilities of what is possible, what we can do, we don't really know until we try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the study that Brad and Windling with the department's doing right now in the Brooks Range, they're doing a huge study on hunted populations versus non-hunting populations, and hopefully we'll gain some more information from that. But, what everybody's saying right now is there's a lot of unknowns, right? Okay, so what do we need? We need information.
Yep.
You know, and so I think the first thing we should do when it comes to sheep is make it a registration hunt.
Bang. I'm with you on that.
What is
big time?
What impact is that going to have on a hunter? The same thing that it's going to take to get a harvest ticket. The only difference is you have to turn it in, you have to give the information to the department, or you can't draw tags. That's a pretty low consequences.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be fucking doing anyway.
Well, and you have to call in every 3 days or, and check in. But
yeah, it depends on some hunts. It just really depends on the hunt. Like when they first opened RB300 on the Kenai for brown bears, man, I was sitting there in the parking lot trying to get service on my phone to call the hotline. Now it's just, hey, we're going to shut it down if it gets to a point. And I think that's probably where they would start.
And it just got shut down last summer for the first time in like 18 years or some shit.
Yeah, the 10-year average.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah, it got...
Over-exaggerating that?
Yeah, it got shut down for the first time, I think 13 years maybe. Okay. But because of sow harvest, right?
Because sows got smoked.
But I'm not super mad about that, though. I put in the proposal to extend the Kenai bait season that got passed all the way to June 30th this next year.
Nice, high five, dude.
Yeah.
And, dude, yeah, we're going to have some fun this spring.
Well, that's when you start seeing most of those bears on your cameras anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I put in.
It closes and you're like, dude, there's nothing but brown bears on this thing.
Yeah, and so the biologist was like, well, you're probably going to lose the fall part of that hunt. And it's just like, well, who mostly hunts bears in September in Kenai? Well, probably somebody who's moose hunting that gets a tag because, hey, he's going mountain moose hunting. If he sees a bear, he's going to shoot it.
Yep.
Is he going to go, hey, is that a sow or a boar? No. But if he spends, 2 months putting in a bait station that's checking cameras all the time, is he going to shoot the 7-foot sow or is he going to shoot the 9-foot boar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to target the boars.
Well, and, with that strategy, I feel like you're more apt to choose a mature bear, an older bear, because you're gonna learn, especially maybe to a new bear baiter, I guess I'll call it. I know that
Sounds like a shirt. New bear baiter.
I know it sounded weird. It made me lose my train of thought for a second. I feel like there's an opportunity for a guy to gain more knowledge by sitting in a stand and seeing more and more bears in activity and behavior and go, oh, okay, that's what a sow looks like. That's what a boar looks like. That's their behavior. That's what they're doing. Less likely to kill a sow who may have some cubs 50 yards away that he can't see. Makes you a smarter hunter, makes you a better hunter, makes you a more informed hunter on how to find mature bears.
Right.
So, yeah, and like you said, who's hunting bears in the fall?
No.
And if you go down to the Kenai, where would you hunt bears in the fall?
Right.
Kenai River can't hunt right on the river.
Yeah,
Russian
and-
River can't hunt on the Russian River either.
Yeah.
It's just like,
You want a big, fishy, gnarly, still summer rubbed up
That's where the food
bear
is.
in September,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But so you were on that pro push for that extension.
oh yeah, that was my
I saw
proposal.
that in the regs. I'm like,
awesome,
oh,
man.
dude, that's fucking awesome.
Well, and because I don't agree with the fact that the board should be able to change a proposal. I think they should be able to pass, fail, the end. But I knew that they change them sometimes, right? So I mean,
There's like exceptions to the rule.
yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna ask for it all, and they're gonna give me an extra 10 days.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they were like, pass it. I'm like,
I'll take what I can get.
That's
I'll
awesome.
take what I
Because-
can get.
so in Kenai, like especially where we bait, they don't come in the majority, generally speaking, right? They don't come in till the later part of May. Season ended the 31st. If you have calves drop, typically the calving peak is around the third week. Okay, so if the calves drop early, now you're competing also with
Yep.
a natural food source that you will never be able to beat out.
Yep, totally.
I mean, when bears were hitting our baits on the Kenai, if calves dropped, the bears on all bait stations disappear for a week.
Yeah.
Brown bears. We're talking about
Yeah.
brown bears. So I really just wanted an extra week or so because that's when most of the bears are coming in. They're going to rut the last weekend. May, they're still hitting and they're still coming around, and the hair is still phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we shot 5 bears down there last year and not a single rub on any of those bears.
They're pretty.
I mean, perfect. I had one bear, a client shot, that had 5 inches of hair on his back. You know, it was just
Damn, full
pretty
on
as
yeah, that's
winter
typically
coat.
where they're freaking
Oh, yeah.
rubbing it out. That's an RB 300 right there.
Oh, very
That
nice.
one is. Well, to respect to the process too. When you talk about that time frame, aren't you helping on the predatory management side by extending and then intercepting some of those maybe more aggressive bears that are smoking moose calves left and right?
Well, 100%. Anytime, right?
You know, like-
bears are our natural competitor, right?
Yeah.
And
Apex predator.
we are having this conversation because where we're at, urban Alaska, right? And that's why it's a big hot topic, and we go through this big process. You think that these conversations happen in rural parts of Alaska?
No,
No. Because
you just
why?
go.
Because
you just go hunt.
yeah, because you're competing with that predator. Do you need a tag to shoot that predator? No. You have an opportunity to shoot that predator? Yep. Well, then you're going to take that opportunity. It happens more often than not, right? So we're having these conversations because they're around urban populations where, and then all of a sudden it's a big political issue. You have nonprofits on a nationwide level that are advocating for the vulnerable brown bears of the Kenai,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Direct quote.
Oh my God.
You know, and
and
it's
there's just
like,
a million of them.
and there's just a lot of input from people all over the country that, you know, they don't eat moose, you know, and I don't dislike those people. I don't want to be taken as, you know, that somebody that hates an outsider because they don't know. Well, if I grew up in California and my version of outside has always been my family goes to the park, I grew up in a major city. I don't know why that these people up in Alaska see this big, beautiful creature and want to shoot it. Like, oh, of course I'm gonna think something about it
seems
because
wrong,
I have
yeah.
no idea.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lack of education. You know, that we as a hunting community, we're so passionate about it. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy because we start attacking people without educating.
Yeah. How could you criticize me for
Yeah,
doing something I love and I grew up here? It's like, well, they don't really know.
And also kind of like the over like posting of dead animals. Like if you're posting them and you got all these people that come from a different culture following it, that's not educating them.
No.
That's immediately
hell
turning
no.
them into an enemy.
It's negative, yeah.
And it's just like all over the place. It's just dead animals, dead animals, dead animals. And it's, you know, there's better ways to inform folks that are from the different culture. And I mean, if you are going to post that kind of stuff, it should be like, I mean, it should be more private, you know, it should be amongst the community that accepts that. So then we don't create more enemies.
right. Well, I mean, you got the entire hunting industry that's built, you know, around killing an animal right?
Yeah.
And selling products that are based on the size of the animals you killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's added a whole nother element to that
Dude, it
conversation
has.
as
A
well.
lot
Yeah.
of pressure.
And there's some people that'll never agree with us, which is fine. But there's
Yeah.
a whole lot of people in the middle
Oh, totally.
that, believe in your right to do whatever you want to do, and they believe in their right to do whatever they want to do,
Yep.
and they won't want to get involved in your business. But if you go out of your way to throw a bunch of blood and guts in their face
Yeah.
and puff your chest out, well, those people vote too. And it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, like even in Alaska, where hunting is a major part of what we do and
Yeah.
how we live, hunters are a minority in Alaska, period. And a lot of people are going like, well, we would never lose our rights to hunt and fish and stuff in Alaska. And it's just like, okay, well, look at some of the millions of acres that are looking to get closed. Look at, the vulnerable brown bears of the Kenai.
Yeah.
It's like, look at the lawsuits.
Like the one that charged me and Chad after it would buried a moose. Like the
was
very vulnerable.
It's
Very vulnerable.
very vulnerable.
Yeah, very vulnerable. Pretty much ready to murder anything that came within 100 yards of that carcass.
I'm not sure who said it, but it's so funny about bears compared to any other animal on why it gets so controversial. And it's just like, man, they breed like everything else. The only difference is because they're carnivore and we're competing food sources, and it's like, and a lot of places in the United States don't have them, so I think they hold a special status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're
Those
looking
Yogi,
at a river.
man.
Hollywood.
What is it called? Like animomorphized or something? It's like where they turn them into like cartoon characters.
Oh, yeah, they
and so you
humanize them.
right. And
Yeah.
and that is like, you just like bears have always been that. You got like Yogi the bear and
dude,
whatever, name it.
The Katmai Fat Bear Contest.
Oh,
Yes.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
right.
100% because at the end of the day, like, I don't care what number you put on that bear, you back it into a corner, that bear's going to eat you, and it doesn't care what you called it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like a bear and most animals, they want to eat, they want to sleep, they need shelter, and they want to procreate. It's like, the end.
Very
Yeah.
simple.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you
Priorities.
look at right, if you look at wildlife populations, right, and put them in that perspective, it's like, well, the management game changes,
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah, those things are eating machines, is what they are.
Yeah, I think we all know about that study on the Kenai. I think that they put cameras on all the bears.
Oh, for the calving?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And to see how I think the top one killed like 58 in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like,
Average is 42, I think,
yeah,
for like amongst the group.
that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I know some bears are just better killers than others.
Sure.
Which is fine. My buddy, like, we get in this argument because if we bear bait, he's just like, no, we should try to shoot every bear we can off the bait. And I'm like, no, I only target big boars because I'd rather target the more experienced bear that knows how to target those calves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and been killing.
Right. And I don't want to kill all the bears either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have like, I look at a lot of bears on a lot of hunts. On the goat hunt, I passed on like 12 bears I could have shot.
Yeah.
It's like, I stood there and filmed them and watch a mom nurse their cubs. It was an amazing experience, right? It's like, but I also understand that, in our human world, or the world period, right? There's only so much land mass, and we're dissecting that every day.
Oh, totally.
As we're expanding these concrete jungles.
That's right.
And everything else is shrinking, and so it's our responsibility, as stewards of this planet, to manage that wildlife.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
And
It's going on that
well
note
said.
a little bit. It's like, these people care about these, like, whatever, the bigger mammals. But it's like, you go put this Walmart in, this new subdivision with, that you don't need in this area that maybe we could have left with hiking trails. How many, like, squirrels, these small mammals, everything's being impacted, but no one's speaking
Displaced.
up for all these small ones. Then you go drive on the East Coast, and it's just a concrete jungle for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And it's like, what's the impact of that,
Yeah.
versus us, like, going out and hunting.
yeah, the coastlines, the fish, man, look at the east and west coast of the United States. The amount of population that live right on the coastline, holy cow.
Right
it's
on the water.
Yeah, a few years ago, I drove Highway 101 just solo for a couple weeks on my time off R&R. What an amazing part of the country,
Oh, yeah.
just to experience. But, I mean, yeah, it was like, I remember going through L.A. during traffic one day, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Never
dude.
again. Yeah.
That's insane.
Just smelling freaking exhaust. Just huffing and puffing it. I had a thought real quick. circling back on the sheep closures up in the Brooks. So that was I'll call it a federal overreach based on a state study that was done. Obviously, they opposed the closure to the feds, and then they overrode it. And so you mentioned earlier, now the state is now pursuing data and doing research and working it. What's the thought I guess, would you know what the thought process of the state is thinking that they can now overturn it? I guess, like, beyond the research they already did, like, what else can they do now with the decline in numbers, I guess?
Well, in that specific closure, they're going to let it run its course. And
You set a date on it?
June this year.
Oh.
It's been be the second. It's been closed for 2 years.
Yeah,
Should
right.
be open in June. Doesn't mean it's
Closed
going
in
to be.
22 last
22,
summer.
23, 20. So it might be closed this year too. Hard to say.
This is the second year it was closed.
Yeah, because I want to say we came together at the studio and we listened to the state's testimony opposing it, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I love about the state is the science-based management of wildlife, and that's why we, as an organization,
hard to argue
absolutely
that.
100% will always support state management because it's based on science, as it should be, right? And so that's what the state is asking the big question. Are we impacting the sheep, yes or no? What more can we find out? They're studying areas that can't be hunted. They're studying areas that can be hunted to find out because they want that answer. It's not just about fighting the feds on who's opening and who's closing. It's like what's real and what's not, as it should be, right? I think if we had the budget and availability and Fish and Game was funded way more than they are now, we can do a study before we make any decision on any wildlife. That would be great, but we can't.
Yeah,
But
it's not realistic.
when we can, we should.
Right.
And so that's what they're doing up there right now. And I have a high respect for those guys because, they're sheep hunters too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they are.
Are they doing true population studies, or are they doing like they're going to do a little bit of area and then fur the rest?
When I went up there, my favorite camping trip as a family, every year in June, we drive up there and camp just for the sake of camping because it's fantastic, right? So my kids, the summer we're playing on Toolik Lake and playing on Galbraith Lake in June. And it looked like an Air Force up there
Okay.
of Super Cubs.
All right.
So I'm not sure on all the details.
It's probably like a complete study this time.
But I've never seen that many cubs, even during sheep season.
All right, dude. That's
It
great.
was amazing.
I know like that sheep right now are one of the species that have like the inferred kind of process. So if they're looking at like 19D or C or whatever, they'll fly like a certain amount of it and then infer the rest of the population. And versus like 13 where they fly it completely for caribou.
Yeah.
What is furring?
Infer. Like
Infer.
like they're using like, hey, if this data's here, looks like this here, we're gonna say that the rest of the area has that like same population
It's
inferred
like
data.
Kind of like a forecast or...
You're using one population set and saying, hey, the rest of the area is going to have the same population set. So then the whole population set will have that ratio or whatever, that population density.
Really just an educated guess.
Yeah.
Based on...
And same thing with Kodiak too. I did a podcast with a biologist down there that I haven't produced yet. That it was the same thing. I'm like, hey, what do you? Because they talk about carrying capacity and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, well, what is that carrying capacity and what do they know? And because those animals aren't sealed and they don't actually see those animals, they don't really know a lot more than you would think. Like, what's a large billy? What's a small billy? What's the average age? When are they pregnant? How many females? Because a lot of those aren't sealed. A lot of that data is. I mean, the fact that we've created sealing around all sheep and we create registration, I think that, it's just more and more data.
Yeah.
At a very low cost.
Yeah. And that with the doll sheep being a registration, at least they could be like, hey, we hit some threshold, we're going to shut it down, which they can't do right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe this threshold, like you have like for nannies, for goats, like where, get a certain amount of nannies taken in a certain area, you get a certain amount of like sublegals taken in that area. It's like, we're going to shut it down.
Well, that is the most frustrating part to me is because like the Kenai we were talking about, all the draw areas are shut down. Why? Because they did a survey. There's no legal rams there. Like in one area, I've hunted. There's literally one mountain that's got a big saddle in the middle. Rams are on the north side of that saddle, general harvest. South side of that saddle, draw tag. I mean, and it's literally like a quarter mile across, maybe a few hundred feet, right? Yeah. And
it's a cycle area where they just live in.
Right, exactly. So if you catch them on the north side, you got a general harvest tag, you can definitely shoot them. And I came really close to shooting some rams. But most of the rams that are shot in that particular spot are 7, and they squeak. Like the first year they cut that, bam. But by leaving that open, to me, you know, it's like, well, you know, you're going to kill so many sublegals. You know that based on data.
Yeah,
right.
You're just hurting the population doing that.
And that's probably where we get most of our hunter impacted on the population. But to me, I mean, I think they could make some big progress there. I mean, I know they were just talking about taking away the 8-year-old requirement on sheep. A lot of people had a problem with that, but I mean, that would certainly knock down the sublegal status. I think if you had to know that it was only full curl or broomed, that's the only two you get, you'd probably leave some opportunity on the mountain for sure. But having that experienced rams, me personally, I don't think would be a problem. You know, a lot of people disagree with me and totally respect their opinion on that. And I know a lot of people think I'm wrong on that, but I think having a few, I mean, we've all shot the lead ram and watched the rest of the group stand there.
Yep.
So we left a couple more lead rams because they weren't full curl or broomed.
Yeah.
I want, you know, if it helps a little bit, I think we all need to make sacrifices at this point in the stage with all kinds of populations in order for our kids to have an opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, you just said it right there. It's like, kind of have to take action now on this.
Yeah, on a lot of populations.
Yeah, like got to start making some decisions if we're looking long game, right?
Yeah, and we're get to a point where a lot of populations, like on the Yukon with kings, where every animal matters, right?
Oh, yeah.
The kings, you know, it's like, the trawlers they only caught 10,000. Well, that's 10,000 more fish that were in their river that those fishing villages care about.
Yep.
100%.
Yep, and could have reproduced.
You know, kings on the Kenai, being born and raised, I was born and raised 5 minutes from the Kenai River. I've caught 2 kings in my entire lifetime, caught and released. You know, I'm 32 years old.
Yeah.
I remember at 2013, I shared a post on my Facebook about a closure I just seen the other day. And I'm like, man, what would be different right now if we would have done something back then?
Right. Well, or if we just managed the late season like we've managed the early season for 20 years. You know, like the early season's been catching at least forever, you know. So.
Well, and I think in that example, nobody is coming to Alaska to fish the Kenai with the expectation to take home a Kenai king. So, you know, I'm like, is it worth the stress on that population just for the sake of sport? Right? Yeah. Because, I mean, I think we can clearly say that, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah, at this point in time, or like 20 years ago. You know?
You're right.
Because like 20 years ago, you would have been probably okay with it, and we wouldn't be worrying about it. But now, where they're at,
yeah, because there's no fish.
It's bad, man. Yeah, like it's a way of Alaska life that's gone. It's in our generation.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Well, imagine the people on the Yukon.
Yeah. Man.
Imagine getting a frozen box of fish. I had a conversation with a representative a while back ago that said we were talking about the bycatch issue, and they're like, well, they should utilize the bycatch more because Alaskans just want fish in their freezer. I said, you go to the Yukon and ask those people if they want fish in their freezer or do they want to catch fish that their families have been doing for thousands of years on that river.
Absolutely, dude.
They no care about that.
That was
box
an
of
Alaska representative?
Alaska representative.
Man. Yeah, disconnected a little bit.
Well, yeah, you got to wonder about that oath in the Alaska Constitution. You're like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
The unfortunate part about this job, you know, politics.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, you can't avoid it.
No.
Let's take another break real quick.
Big Ray's, the Alaskan outfitter, committed to outfitting Alaskans across the state since 1947. Whether you're a recreator, parent, guide, or corporate buyer, Big Ray's has the gear you need tailored for Alaska's harsh conditions. At Big Ray's, you'll find brands like Carhartt, Grundens, Darn Tough, FXD, Okiwear, and more. Big Ray's is your one-stop shop for both outdoor gear and rugged work attire. Check out their new exclusive line of durable but affordable waders, inspired by and named after the majestic Aralik River in remote western Alaska. The heroic wader was designed by Alaskans and proven for the diverse waters of the last frontier. Visit Big Ray's at any of their 5 locations statewide, 2 in Anchorage, 2 in Fairbanks, 1 in Kodiak, or check them out online at bigrays.com.
Tailored Restoration, helping Alaskans turn disasters into new beginnings since 1972. Their 24-hour services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, and repairs. Tailored built its reputation with years of committed and reliable service to the community with innovative restoration and home remodeling. When you have an unexpected home issue at the most improbable time, Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you anytime, day or night. Tailored Restoration has locations to serve you in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Give them a call at 907-344-1239 or make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlander products. If you want to customize your vehicle, talk to the team at Total Truck, where you'll find their expertise along with top brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Frontrunner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Lining bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Want to turn your truck into a sleeping option? They have rooftop tents, custom camping equipment, electronics, and solar energy packages to keep you powered up deep in the backcountry. Stop by their store location on Dowling between the New and Old Seward Highway or check them out at TotalTruckAK.com.
Energy into where you can get the wins, like
Right.
archery range upgrades and clubhouses and
Absolutely. Well, there's so many issues that I want people to get involved, but not so like scared off right at the bat. Like, well, there's big issues, because like the average Alaskan, we talking about federal and state management, they're going to be like, what are you guys doing with AOC? Right. So a large, part of the other issues we focus on, kids programs, access issues, stuff like that, people can get behind. And the more that they see us involved in those issues, they come on board a lot of time because of those issues, right? We supported a lot of shooting teams this year. We got a large membership growth from parents and people involved in those shooting teams.
okay.
And then they see our newsletters and they read and they learn so many about these other issues that they're like, whoa, I didn't even know this was a thing. A large part of these issues we work on, most Alaskans have no idea about.
So it's more or less maybe like a easier or a better understandable barrier to entry to this through supporting a shooting team, and then going, okay, you got my attention. I want to be part of this. This is a solution. Then they'll expand their mind to trying to unpack like big issues and get behind them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be kind of a good way to explain it, because
Yeah.
it does seem daunting. Because like I'm just average Alaskan, and you start throwing around these big issues, I'm just like, where's the start? Where's the end? Like, oh my God! Like it's so intimidating. I'm just gonna back into the shadows, because it's like I don't know. Can I even make a difference? Can I even do anything about it?
Well, that's the thing about a large part of our process is when it comes. So we're just talking about the hunting, fishing issues right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole
Which is just one chunk of the pie.
Access issues, right? And a large part of these issues, and a large part of what AOC's motto has been, is we're your voice on outdoor issues in Alaska, because these issues require public input, most of them, right? So if there is a input on, let's say, Steese, right, highway, BLM on weight limits on four-wheelers, right? That's probably going to affect all of us at least some point in our lives as Alaskans, right?
Yeah.
But if they do that meeting at 2:00 on a Tuesday, how many of us are going to show up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like 3 people.
AOC is going to show up.
Yeah.
That's what we do, right? And so when people are saying, hey, why should I join AOC? What do we do? Like that's what we do.
We're there for you.
Right, and we don't.
You can't be.
I don't try to beat our chest on how much we raise. We do talk about what we do, because I've been part of organizations before as a member where I'm like, hey, where's my money going? And I want every member to know, like, this is where your money's going. It's not going in a bank account to disappear. I'm constantly telling you, we're patting ourselves on the back, because I want you to know where it's going, and I want you to know that the money's going to local issues, local Alaskan issues. A large part of my raffles now, I put them like direct action issues. Like we got a raffle right now for Ambler Road shooting range, right? There was a conflict between DOT and DNR. Nobody wanted to take ownership of the road, and DNR didn't have the budget for it. So we just said, well, how much does it pay to plow the road? Well, we'll give you permission. You got to find a contractor to do it. We found a great local contractor that's right up the road, and we just did a raffle, and now we just, hey, what's this? Where's this money going? It's going directly to the plow guy, and he's plowing the road, and now we have access issues.
That's awesome.
Isn't it like a quarter mile, too, that we're talking about plowing?
No, we're talking about like 3 to 5.
3 to 5 miles?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're talking from like the pavement all the way to the shooting range and the entire parking lot and all the pull-offs.
Awesome.
Okay, because I thought it was maintained up to, so from the Old Glen, and then there's like a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, if you go down Mod Road all the way to the end, there's a subdivision there,
Yeah.
and there's a turn right there, and there's a sign that says Hunter Access Funds paid for this road. Yeah, it's maintained to that sign.
Okay.
And so we paid to plow everything after that, which is super icy right now. If you go out there to go shoot, be careful.
Oh, I
You're
bet.
drawing on Christmas.
Yeah, I got it up there on,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
on
You
the
can have
thing.
the kids draw
Yeah,
it right out of the.
So you still, if you're listening, you can still purchase a ticket. It's only $10.
Man, Santa's coming to someone's house.
Yeah, AlaskaOutdoorCouncil.org.
And check out that rifle. That rifle is
Yeah, that
made
thing is
by Alaska Hydrographics, completely custom, right? Fully engraved on both sides of that.
Oh, wow,
a 450
yeah.
Bushmaster. It is sweet.
Yeah.
He built that for us for a banquet. Somebody donated it back to us, and then we raffled it off again for the issue. So we've already
man,
raised
that's
money
so
for
cool.
advocacy, and now we can raise money again for this Mod Road issue.
That's awesome.
I was
All with
wondering
one
about
thing.
that, how you guys are able to offer, a Can-Am 500 or this rifle or this truck or whatever it is. Is that just these people are believing in what you guys are doing and they're donating that? How does that work?
So it's differs a lot throughout the board. A lot of people are like, well, you probably got this 4-wheeler for free. It's like, no, I'm a blue collar guy that worked 10 years in the oil field. When I first took this job, asking for donations was like the hardest part of my job.
Yeah.
So I try to make everything I do. I try to work with local businesses, make it a 2-way street, show them support, show how we can help them and how they can help us. And they do. Like Team CC and Eagle River and Wasilla. We bought 3 machines to them this year. They do give us a discount sometimes. Some small businesses, they can afford to. In this economy, in the last couple of years, they can't, right? So
Right.
we're going to go support
Yeah.
that business. And then, obviously, that's going to affect our raffle prices, right? I try to make everything where you have you have a decent chance, usually better than draw odds, to win the item.
2%?
Right? But it's gonna vary. Like I did a sheep hunt last year, a desert sheep hunt out of Mexico. We just drew at our banquet, right? $60,000 hunt. We did $200 a ticket, only 600 tickets, right? So that's $200. That's an expensive ticket, but it's like you got a 1 in 600 chance.
Yeah, man.
And so most of the raffles, I try to do that and only do it like this one. It's not limited tickets, but it's only $10 a ticket, and it's only going on for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that way, hey, $10, you have a pretty good chance of winning it, but we're also got a pretty good chance of raising enough money with that one raffle to take care of that maintenance for the only public access shooting range in the valley all winter.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. So,
Yeah, it goes a long way.
when people are like, man, why are these guys doing all these raffles? It's like, well, ask me where the money from any one of those raffles are going to go. I can tell you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't beat my chest on how much we raise. I just try to let the public know where all of our money goes.
Yeah.
And especially for governor tags, because we do, like, I got a Fognac bear hunt. I donated the guiding to next year. We're raffling off right now too, $10 as well.
Nice.
So 30% of that we keep, 70% goes back to the state for wildlife management. Our 30% has to go to certain programs. In my eyes, the public just gave me their resource and trust to raise money to put that money to good use back in the community.
Yeah.
Right. So every year, like when we do that or the Super 7 raffle with the Department of Fish and Game, all of that money goes directly to programs like this or shooting range or public access projects.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is.
So you guys are directly tied to the Super 7 or whatever?
Yeah, one of those tags is ours every
Okay.
year. And man, last year we put in that kids club out at KGB. The AKS is building the biggest shooting park in Alaska. That will be 100% focused to kids.
Awesome.
It'll be bigger than
Hell
Birchwood.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Man, that's
over
super
200
rad.
acres, right? And those guys, it's been Neil and Lindy Moss, just that one I mean, they are AKS, right? That one couple that's been building it, and we worked with them. So we were part of Super 7. All of our Super 7 funds 1 year went to that. And then last year, Super 7 funded the Northern Lights Skeet Trap Scholastic Target Program. We funded that. We funded TVSA for shooting range employment improvements, Delta Sportsman's improvements, and some ROTC kids help sponsor them.
Sweet.
Well, it's for people that don't know, what is a Super 7?
So the Super 7 is like the best big game raffle. It's like the best tag, 7 species, Unimac brown bear,
Chugach sheep.
Chugach sheep. I mean, the best of the best. And then we throw in a chunk of prizes and cash with it too.
Yeah.
So if you draw the Chugach sheep tag, you also get $5,000 cash on top of it. And if you buy certain tickets on certain months, you get a whole bunch of gear on top of it.
Yeah.
So it's 7 different nonprofits working with the state. We draw the tags this year in April. They just went on sale the other day. Then in April, the state gets 70%, 30% goes back to those nonprofits specifically for issues, community, and programs in Alaska.
Yeah.
Right.
I always wondered how much of that, of like the Super 7 total, comes from out of state.
Actually, the majority comes in from Alaskans.
Really?
And it has since the start.
Okay, cool.
Which is we have
Yeah.
meetings on this regularly, and because I attend like every sports show in the state, I'm kind of like, we should market more towards these guys.
Yeah. Well, I just especially the sheep one, comes with a guide. You got all these people from like New York or whatever, and they can't afford to do a sheep hunt, but they could you throw down $100.
Right, and well, on the tags, we've actually talked about this a lot because I'd actually prefer if they included the guides. They don't include guides on any of them.
I thought the sheep one included a non-resident guide.
Nope.
Oh, really?
No,
okay.
you get a chunk of change, and then there's like a list
Oh,
of
they
guides
can
to
choose.
choose.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
There's a list.
It's like less than 25% of the cost for the guide. I think they'd really open it up if they included the guide, but I mean, financially, it's got to make sense too. Raffle strategy is such, I mean,
it's got to be its own science.
I
dude.
really like scratch my head sometimes because I get to do all the shopping. Favorite part about the job, besides writing big checks to kids programs.
Yeah.
But I mean, going to the Sportsman's, you should have seen the guys at the gun counter when I'm like, I'll take 5 of these and 10 of these. Putting together a wall of guns. They're like, when's this banquet? But yeah, it's a head scratcher, man. Because sometimes I'll put a $5,000 rifle out there, and the guy's like, I got a $300.
Yeah.
I'm like, but this is a $5,000 $300.
Yeah.
He's like, I got my one-up head since
It works.
It's my dad's.
It shoots real straight. I like to get close.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that didn't come with a guide. That's more appealing to me, actually.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, and that's, I think, is the reason why we see such strong support from the residents on that. And, I mean, the last couple of years, like, every year, I mean, a good chunk of the winners are always residents, too. But, yeah, because, what we're looking for, is somebody who, if you're a non-resident, you're looking for somebody who's willing to gamble $20, but if they win, have the ability to drop $20K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In April, May, June, July, August, in 4 months.
Yeah.
And the availability in a guide to be able to fit a client in that period of time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like, all the dots
It's
have
like
to connect.
pro for the locals.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you win that Unimac, dude, I just did that hunt. I'm telling you, there's a lot of big bears down there.
What's AOC's, before we lighten up the mood here, AOC's opinion, if they have one, on the Ambler Road?
Ooh, good question. So on all industrial access, let's just say across the board, right? AOC absolutely supports building industrial access roads as long as it allows public access.
Yep.
If you're using public money, then it should be public access,
Yep.
period. I got in a bit of an argument with this with the AIDEA guy. Every year we do a meeting, and it rotates around the state, and all of our NGOs come together, state officials and government officials, so any of our members can come to this meeting and find out firsthand from these agencies, and sometimes even the governor. Last one, Senator Sullivan was at, right? So you can hear directly from the horse's mouth on major issues like this, right? And one of the issues we brought up was like the West Sioux Road and the Ambler Road, and you know, like the head of AIDEA was just like, well,
What's AIDEA?
it's the state's investment corporations on projects like the Ambler Road and the West Sioux project. So, you know, they were like, well, we got $8 million from the state for the West Sioux project, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so you got $8 million of the public's money for public access, right? And he's like, well, we got $8 million from the state. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, if you're using my money,
Yeah.
all of our money,
That's right.
it should guarantee access.
Yes.
100%. And so that's AOC's position on it. You know, there's very few topics. One thing about being an executive director, you know, in some organizations, people talk for the organization. Everything I say for the organization has usually been based on the board vote of our entire board of members. I will never speak out of turn without talking about our board. So when I talk on behalf of the organization on the Ambler Road and the West Sioux, 100% is if it's based on, if it does public access.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, I mean, we've all been on the Hall Road,
Yeah.
right? You know?
And that was closed at first, right?
Right.
And then what happened to make it public? It had to do with us using public funds, right?
Right, absolutely. And look at the amount of opportunity and access that has created for Alaskans, right? And we're hearing the same arguments right now that we heard before on the Hall Road. Man, as somebody who spent 10 years in the oil field up there, let me tell you, the Caribou are not getting killed off by the oil field.
No.
Not at all.
And can you pick a better place in the world to drill for oil than the Arctic coastline? The barren Arctic coastline?
Yeah, that's like a little tricky, right? Like for response.
Well, if you think about it, like, you know, I did pipe inspection, radiography, right? So I can give you direct knowledge of what that pipeline looks like, what happens during spills, and what happens with it, right?
Yeah.
So let's say there's a phase 3 major blizzard. Pipe freezes, blows out at 12 o'clock, covers 80 acres in oil that's covered in 3 feet of snow. What do they do? How do they clean that up? They just scrape the top of the snow off, put it in a pipe, and ship it back down the hole from where it came from.
Yeah.
Where else can you do that without affecting the wildlife and the fish and everything?
Sure.
Right? And, you know, we have a big talk about roads and the impact that they're going to make, right? But we also just had a very long conversation about the management of fish and wildlife in Alaska. That's not going to go away if we build a road. Right? And working on the oil field, I've seen a lot of locals in the oil field and seen what kind of impact that has made to the local economy because that oil field exists.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Big time.
And so that's going to improve up there as well.
Yep.
But, you know, when people are saying, hey, it's going to affect the fish, yes, it'll affect the fish. I'm not saying that's not true.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, how much did the Sterling Highway and the Seward Highway affect the sockeye run this year?
Good point.
How long has that been around?
Yeah.
You know, and we have mining roads. I mean, man, the Seward and the Sterling Highway resource extraction is the reason why all those trails exist in that area.
Yeah, everything we have road system-wise is because of mines.
Well, there's
For the most part.
a conversation that we seem to avoid a lot in Alaska, and all somebody has to do is look at the Alaska Statehood Act and the reason why we are a state. That's because mining and oil, period. Right? Because the rest of the country goes, man, they don't have the population. We don't want to be a welfare state. Can they even have an economy? You know, a lot of these issues, they're not new issues. You know, a lot of these mineral deposits we didn't learn about yesterday.
Oh,
you know,
they've been...
We've knew about the Amber Mineral Belt when we became a state. We knew about Anwar.
Yeah.
We knew about the Sterling gas fields. You know what I mean? That's part of being a state. You know, we've changed a lot since then, for sure. But, you know, if you look in South America right now, when the mines in Peru that are running low on copper ore, when that goes away, there's going to be a worldwide shortage on those minerals. Right? And everybody here has a phone. We're talking to microphones. Those minerals are used in all those things.
Yeah.
And as we advance into green technology, all those minerals are used in all those things too.
Yep, absolutely.
Dude, I would love if we could run on solar or wind. I have no problem with that as a lifelong oil field worker. But the fact is, we're not there, and we're decades out.
Yep.
In the meantime, we all still got to go outside, put gas in our car, and use our cell phones to go somewhere.
Yep.
Right?
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, great answer to that question, man.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Sorry, go ahead.
so what was it? What exactly happened with
the whole road?
road to go from no public access to public access, and how is that different at all from what's going on with Ambler?
Man, I would be speaking out on turn on the Hall Road.
I'll figure it out, and we'll talk about it next time. But it just seems like, how could that be different? Like, if the state or whatever sued the federal government and made that an open road, it's something roughly that lines, made the Hall Road public because we use public funds, and we're going to use public funds for Ambler. I just don't see how we could go away from that. But
well, I think the biggest problem is you have the state working in collaboration with other groups to limit public access on this particular issue due to the subsistence concerns of locals in the area.
Okay.
And that was part of their agreement, I think, with the private corporations, was they're going to limit outsiders from using the road.
Right.
There's going to be specific private road. We don't support that.
Yeah.
Because equal access, we all own the resources. I mean, AOC, one of the things that gets us into sticky waters with residents, too, is because we don't support laws that are going to prioritize people based on race, religion, or residency, or where they live.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people that are, like, part of certain nonprofits are like, oh, you're anti-resident because you don't support this. And I'm like, no, I was born and raised here.
Yeah.
I guide a little bit, but at the end of the day, I fill all 4 of my freezers and feed all of my kids with wild game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, but we can disagree on those issues and still realize that, hey, we need a healthy economy and we need to focus on the wildlife populations before we're worried about who gets to kill what. You know, if we have healthy populations, we wouldn't even be having some of these conversations.
Yeah, we're all hunting and be happy.
Yeah, I mean, that topic's heating up, man.
Oh.
The Ambler Road thing is heating up big time. I keep seeing all kind of feeds and all kind of.
And based on the conversation we had with Forrest, who was a helicopter pilot for surveyors, sounds like that thing's going down.
Yeah,
I mean, just based on the financing and manpower and
They're moving that direction.
Yeah. They wanted that.
Yeah.
I'm not here announcing it's happening.
But the opposition is definitely ramping up.
Yeah,
big time.
Right.
They got logos, they got T-shirts, they got everything.
I feel like if they meet in the middle on the public access, then that thing has a shot.
Well, I think the state's taking, so what the governor did with the West Sioux is such a good strategy, because opposition, their biggest drum they've beaten from the start of that project is there's no public access, and AIDEA's gone back and forth, blah, blah, blah. I can show you a video on the AOC YouTube channel of the head of AIDEA directly saying 100% public access.
Yeah.
Matsu's requirement for that road is 100% public access. The state, from the beginning, has said 100% public access, but I think opposition knew that if people were able to get a new recreational road that they could access, that their opposition would go down in flames, right? So that's been the biggest thing. So the state took even a bigger step forward and said, you know what? That first 15 miles, man, DOT can build that road. And then what we're going to do at the end of it, we're going to put a boat launch at the Big Sioux, and we're going to put a camping area, a recreational area right there. And these people that say, whoa, no public access, it's like, no, we just created a new public use area.
Yeah, totally.
Because we just talked about at the start of this conversation, is the amount of access and area for Alaskans is shrinking.
Yeah, totally.
When's the last time we built a new road in Alaska?
Yeah, where is a new boat launch?
That? Yeah. New boat launch.
Those things get built.
Can we start in Whittier?
The new harbor.
I got you guys' actual YouTube page up. Is that a super long video? Can we find that little section?
It is pretty long, but
can we pinpoint it if you?
Yep. He says it right at the beginning.
Look at that lake trout.
I know. Up. Probably go back to the top.
Oh, back to the top.
Yeah, just click on the AOC channel right there, Alaska Outdoor Council.
Oh, I thought I was on the page. Oh, here we go.
Multi-use roads, West Susitna, and Ambler, AIDEA.
Well, it's 19 minutes.
Well, we're not going to listen to the whole thing. He said it's just in the beginning.
Okay.
We're going to have Brandon Brzezinski.
Look at you all.
Cleaned up, man.
Deputy Executive. Tell that's not during hunting season.
Looking official, bro.
Talking about the West Sioux Road, potential access for millions of acres of public land.
All right. Hey, good afternoon. I'm Brandon Brifshinsky. That was pretty close. I want to thank you guys for inviting us here today to talk about the West Susitna Access Project. With me, I also have Josie Wilson. She's our External Affairs Director. We're good to go. Well, while we work to get the presentation up, I'll just talk a little bit about the project, as you're all aware. This has been, talked about for, we're good to go. Oh, okay. Let's do it.
He's not nervous.
Yep. All right, a little bit about AIDEA first. So our mission is to promote and develop and advance the economic growth in Alaska. Over the years, we've returned about $460 million to the state in the form of a dividend, and we've been involved in about $3.5 billion worth of investment. So the West Susitna Access Project is about a 100-mile long road starting west of Big Lake, and it'll end at the Susitna River at the base of the Alaska Range. Within this route, within a 10-mile radius of this route, there's 73,000 acres of land, and of that, 61% is either state, local, and there's like a small amount, I'm talking like 100 acres of federal land. This road's entirely on federal land. I'm sorry, this road is entirely on state land. The other ownership composition is private or native lands. So I know there's been a lot of talk or rumor that, is this road going to be public? Is this road going to be private? I'm here today to tell you this road's going to be public, 100% public access year round. So, yep. We got our instructions.
He said it.
That's what the governor wants.
Hell yeah.
We won't have to
Can't deny that. He just said it right there on YouTube.
Okay, there it is.
What do you think the chances are that road goes in?
I think this is going to be a long process, 100%. The 15 miles, 100% is going to go in. Mm-hmm. No doubt.
The first 15?
The governor is like 100% going to push it.
Yeah. And that includes a bridge?
Yeah.
The first 15?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that he's been kind of staked on that. Like, if we can't build a road on state land in our own state, you probably heard Sullivan talk about a million times, when he's in D.C., that every time we try to build anything or make a decision, we get sued by hundreds of organizations, to do anything. So the state is kind of making a point to build those 15 miles of road because we can. Right?
Yeah, there's no opposition really when it comes to it being our shit.
And if you ask the people of Kenai how they would feel about the people in the valley having opportunity to go out and fish their own dip net fishery that exists where that bridge is going, how they would feel about it, I guarantee you're going to have some support.
What is that, the Yetna, or which one is it? The dip net fishery?
I think it's on the Big Sioux.
Oh, it's just the Big Sioux. Okay.
Yeah, we actually raffled off a trip. Andy Couch does trips to Fishtails Guide Service out for that dip net fishery now because right now nobody has access to it, right? They can't get to it. So if they have a own boat launch where people from the valley can go do their own fishing right there at home, and then get a lot more people probably involved in the fishery politics here in the valley, which would definitely be a good thing.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
The 15 miles goes from Big Lake to where does it end? Where does it end? Yeah.
Well, it's directly in line with I guess if you pulled up the YouTube video, or if you go on AIDEA's website, there's a tab for it, but it shows it's going to connect directly with where the other end of the road's going to go.
Okay, I was just curious where that start and finish at 15 miles is, because the whole road is going to be like 40 something miles.
The entire road over 100.
Over 100. Oh, yeah. Okay, I was way off.
It ties into existing road systems, right? Like up.
It's going to tie in, all the way up into the Alaska Range,
right?
And that's where you get a lot of the opposition from lodge and resort owners
right
up there, because they're like, hey, we don't want a large amount of people in here hunting, but at the end of the day, it's just, hey, I guide, the areas and the resources that we hunt are public resources at the end of the day. So it's like, you're utilizing public resources. You're mad that the public's going to be able to come in and access their own resources.
Right. And when you fly that route, there are public or private cabins the whole route.
Oh yeah.
You just every quarter mile there's another strip. There's a
nonprofit that's supporting the road, Friends of the West Sioux, And yeah, they're all landowners that are like, yeah, we want this road.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of opposition from people local in the area too that have resorts and lodges that are like, hey, you're gonna kill our business. But then there's a lot of local owners that are like, yeah, I'll be able to drive to my own cabin now.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and the road isn't gonna change what's there, right? It's gonna have impact. Yeah, we have an impact every time we go outside, right? But we just talked about fish and game management and all that. You know, people aren't going to go out there and wipe out all the fish, right?
No.
Because there has to be, what's there is there.
Still
right?
managed.
And it's still managed, right? There's still going to be moose, and they're going to be like, oh, man, you're going to shoot out all the moose population. And I was like, oh, man, is that why nobody hunts the Denali Highway? Nobody fishes Russian because, man, there's no fish left there.
Right. That's right.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's 2023. How can we say that a dirt road, right, is going to wipe out wildlife populations 2023? I got a computer in my pocket that can teach me how to speak Chinese. You're telling me we can't build a road?
Totally.
Yeah, and if anybody's ever recreated the area, it's some badass bush, dude.
Yeah, it is.
It's not just like wide open moose everywhere. Like, dude, it's thick ass forest, thick nature. It's not like
Head high ferns, baby.
Yeah, man, it's so gnarly in there, man. You're not gonna
ACL territory.
What's that?
ACL territory.
Take one wrong step.
In terms of beauty,
Face
I
down.
think the Kinnick has got it beat by a mile, right? In terms of natural beauty of the area, right? And dude, how many people access the Kinnick all the time?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? Are you telling me that there's no populations of wildlife left in the Kinnick? Because, well, man, I've spent some time in the last year, and there's definitely some stuff out there.
Yeah.
Lots of critters. Yeah, no, I just don't see it happening.
We're gonna see how much you really know.
Oh, snap.
All right.
Apparently, you already answered a couple questions earlier, so that was a lot.
Yeah. So he did answer some questions. So we'll try to go to next level on those questions. So one of the questions was when the Alaska Outdoor Council was formed, and we said it earlier. What is it?
1955.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. And then how many groups and where were they from that formed it?
Oh, we're expanding.
Well, he actually gave
said
that
30.
answer too.
Oh, 60.
He did?
30 or 60?
When it was formed.
Oh, when it was first
and
formed.
How many were there? And where were they
What did
from?
he say, like 45?
That's a little high.
I said 30.
30?
3.
There's 3.
3.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh,
Three started. Matt
There's a
Valley
few-
Sportsman, Territorial Sportsman's in Juneau, and then Tanana Valley, which are all three
that's right.
still sporting good groups in those local
345. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just
So
a
those
little
were
gap.
my first trivia questions. So I tried to go like next level on the next one after that.
And he answered it in classic fashion.
So
Way
ho-
off.
So how many are there now? So how many sporting clubs are under and part of the Alaska Outdoor Council?
28.
31.
You know that I got the number off the website, so you might have a more updated number. But
Current clubs with paid dues is 28. Yeah.
that's it.
Hell yeah.
There's
big winner.
There's 51 on the website.
Damn.
Ask me next week. It will probably change.
All right.
Okay.
So-
it fluctuates. They pull
Well-
in and pull out.
Well, it's like every membership-based organization, right? So if you have, like at our banquet every year, like everybody does big membership drives around our banquet.
Oh, okay.
So in September we might have 500 members, and then we'll have a banquet, and we'll have 650 because everybody's like, oh yeah, I need to renew.
Jump on. Yeah.
Right.
One of our biggest is like the state fair every year. It's like,
yeah, I
I
remember
forgot. I
Yeah.
forgot to do
You had a
it.
nice little setup over there.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's great that you guys are out there. Are you
Well,
physically there those 2 weeks?
That's
That's like prime honey. That's why I hate the fair.
I really despise the fair schedule, but I absolutely am there every day because that is the perfect place to tell people about the issues. And I will spend an hour talking to one person rather than making $200 in raffle tickets. I want to make sure he knows about those issues, and I usually turn those guys into life members. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they spread the word too, right?
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
So since we missed out on that one, we could do another riddle though. It's not
I didn't miss out on
Alaska.
shit, dog. I hit it on the head.
You win.
2-8.
He was listening.
You win a sticker.
Nice. I just meant like we missed out on 2 trivia questions because we already knew the answer. But I have one that's a little different.
Okay.
It's not Alaska. It's a riddle, so it'll just be more fun.
A riddle. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
So
Trivia is trivia.
So
Turn it up, Daniel. Turn it up.
Shoot.
Okay. So that when Oedipus comes up and tries to get by the Sphinx, the Sphinx asks him a question. Okay. He said, "Which creature has one voice yet becomes 4-footed, 2-footed, and 3-footed?" I'll repeat that again. So which creature has one voice and yet becomes 4-footed and 2-footed and then 3-footed?
I am
Man, I've heard this before.
stumped. I'm overthinking it a lot.
I'm at a complete loss. I don't know why you're looking at me.
I've heard this.
It's a creature?
Yeah.
Say it again one more
The
time.
3-footed part gets me. I'm like, what?
Which creature has one voice and yet becomes 4-footed and 2-footed and then 3-footed? So it can be all those in there.
Human beings?
Okay. Good
Yeah,
guess.
no, it is.
That's the answer?
Right, because when you're born, you crawl,
Oh, snap.
right? And then
shit.
when you're like a healthy adult, you have 2. And then when you fall and
I felt like it was like
lose your ACL or become an old man, you have a cane. So it's 3.
That's
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
shit.
so it is a
Damn.
human. So good job,
Damn,
bud.
you're on point.
Yeah,
today.
dude.
Killed it.
Yeah.
You know, I was off by a few with the 3 to 48 thing, but I really recovered.
You're on the comeback.
I'm 2 for 3.
Dude, the 3-footed thing got me. I was like, what?
All right, so there's
makes
part
sense.
2 to this.
I knew it had to
So-
like encompass something like big and like one thing. Like,
So there's part 2 to this one too. So
right, bring it on.
after he answered it right, the Sphinx wasn't very happy with Oedipus and asked him another one. So he said, there are
like an
2
answer.
sisters. One gives birth to the other, and she in turn gives birth to the first. Who are the 2 sisters?
Salmon.
That could be right, actually, but that's not the answer. But that may be. You want me to read it again, or you know what it was?
Say it one more time.
Okay. There are 2 sisters. One gives birth to the other, and she in turn gives birth to the first. Who are the 2 sisters?
sleeping lady.
Solstice.
It's definitely a nature thing for sure.
Yeah, I whiffed this one, guys. Sorry,
It's
listeners,
like
if you're rooting me
plants or
on.
something.
It's day and night.
Oh, I was close.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But anyway, those are cool. Those
Yeah.
were like side ones I had as backup if we ever lose the question.
The question gets answered right
That was
away.
that the pivot?
Yeah, that was like those were like my old backup. I had to go to the list. It's like, okay, here's a backup that hits.
Oh,
I think it is like same thing like salmon or something. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, they go, they die, they could create more of them.
Yeah.
The salmon one was really good. I was like, oh, maybe I should just say that was it.
I doubt anybody's going to fact check that shit. But
Oh,
that one's a good one, though.
That was good.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get more backup questions, man. Usually 3 is good, but now I'm going to do like 5 just in case we lose.
Well, we
some
had to
during
bring
the
in
show.
like a super smart dude.
Yeah.
tonight.
Well,
Who's on
usually,
point.
like when people are talking about what they love and stuff, they don't actually like start at the origin. You know, like it kind of like skips over some of the cool facts.
Well, it was like just staggering when I first took over AOC because of that. I mean, think about an organization that's been around before statehood.
Yeah, it's rad.
And,
Yeah, no shit.
And looking at the amount of people, like big names today that have been
Oh, yeah.
involved, is just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at your issue section and just all the different names on those things. I was like, wow. It's pretty impressive. And some awards. You have that award section.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, all the names on that too.
Achievement Awards.
Yes, well, some of the people had been involved, Sydney Huntington Awards, when like growing up and, being in the younger part of the hunting community and reading books like by Jim Reardon and stuff and reading about these people and then being part of an organization that was around when these people were around.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah. Being such a successful draw hunter, what do you have? What is there something left on the bucket list for you?
Oh, man. In Alaska,
Yeah.
bison.
Bison? Okay. So you're still, this year you get that one, I'm sure.
100% with the bow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a
Like,
full-time bow
how
guy
did I
now.
draw the farewell and delta?
Yeah. Which one do you put in for?
I think I'm going to roll the dice and just
2, 2, 2.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's some, every year I used to just pick some wild tags that I'm like, I'll probably never draw this. And then I drew the first time I drew the Chugach any ram tag with a bow. And I'm like, holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
I drew 4 tags that year and everybody wanted to kill me.
I bet.
That
Okay,
started.
I'm kind of sort of pissed at you.
That's what started the
Podcast
bad
over.
reputation.
We might have to maybe go fight in a second. Like, that's
4
push-
tags. That's
pushing it.
unbelievable, man.
Yeah, I wanted
like
to go to
my-
Vegas.
Man.
What year was that?
Oh, man, it was, I don't know, it was probably about 6 years ago, I bet.
Did you hunt
what
them
do you
all?
thi-
Oh, hell yeah. I hunted. Dude, I had 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. I took an entire hitch off work. I was single at the time, and I hunted for 9 weeks straight.
Hell yeah.
I went to Kodiak, did a solo goat, shot my first goat with my bow, flew my brother in. We flew over to Fognac, hunted elk, killed a bull, got back, hunted. I missed a ram at 50 yards, shot over the top of him, solo hunted that one, drove up to Fairbanks, and shot a cow off the management area.
Hell yeah.
Damn, bro.
That's awesome.
Dude, I will never draw a tag and not hunt it. That's like a black sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times, and it sucks doing that.
Yeah, it
Like,
just feels like, ugh.
ugh.
I did not want to hunt goats in August this year, but that's the only time I had it. And I'm like, man, this is somebody else's opportunity. If I don't go hunt it, I have to go.
Yeah.
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 If you could only fill the freezer with one species,
Blacktail.
blacktail.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good
100%.
choice.
Oh, they're good, man.
That's your favorite.
Oh,
You have a favorite dish, like prepared wise?
ooh. Well, my wife, I don't know, just fries them, throws them in flowers, throw them in the air fryer.
Okay,
and it's
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a pork
perfect.
chop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like doing that. I do that a lot at camp. I do kind of like I'll pound them a little bit flat, like a veal
Okay.
cutlet or like a chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig that. A little mayo and ketchup. Can't go wrong, man.
Yum.
I do love goat burger too, which you won't hear very many people say. We eat it a lot, but goat and not the burger form. Like, I remember the first time I shot a goat, I was so happy to cook that thing over the fire, and I was still chewing it 2 days later.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are really lean, chewy.
Yeah. Well, Jack has a great goat enchilada
Yeah.
recipe
I know.
that totally switched my mind on goat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
that
those are
goat
delicious.
enchiladas are good. Yeah, the backstraps aren't too bad, dude.
No, it really depends. I think with any animal, I don't know if you ever looked into Larry Bartlett's on like the science behind killing animals and how they're killed and how it affects taste and how it affects the pH levels in meat. Oh man, you guys want some? Get Larry Bartlett on the show. He,
right.
like,
Larry
He's
Bartlett.
local?
Fairbanks.
Okay.
Pristine Ventures. He owns
Okay.
Pristine Ventures.
Yeah, I've heard of Larry.
And even like there's so many things that affect an individual animal. I've had so many people that are like, "Oh, moose meat's gamey," right? I don't eat moose meat. And it's like, well, how was that moose shot?
Yeah.
How fast did it kill? How long did you hang it? What was the temp when you hung it? How dirty did the meat get? How well did you take care of it? Right there.
Right.
Like, we are stupid OCD about it. Can't always be, because I've shot animals in some of the dirty places on
Yeah.
the planet.
You
Or
can't get
hot
around it.
outside.
Or wet Kodiak. Kodiak, if
Flies.
you go down there and hunt goats, man, it's wet everywhere all the time. That's the challenge, is to keep it dry.
Right.
We've had our meat in the tent before because it's downpouring sideways. Where do you put
Yeah.
it? It's,
What do you even do?
yeah. So
Gear wise, being a big backpack hunter, what is something that is maybe new that you're like, man, I'm so glad this is created? A new piece of something that's like, man, this has got to come with me.
well, there's I don't know about super new, but there's a couple pieces of gear that like literally changed the field, like Thermacell, Jetboil. I mean, like I've carried my Jetboil everywhere, anywhere, right? There's just some things that I couldn't do what I do with
Yeah, it's like Jetboil headlight. It doesn't go.
Yeah.
Does not go in the pack.
The Thermacell is a game changer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I can tell the minute in my bear bait station that I ran out of fuel in that. The minute.
Yeah.
Where I literally just reach over. Oh, yep. Shut off. Change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's some gear. I think we just get too crazy about the gear these days. Way too crazy. I mean, we're doing like paying $90 for underwear and camo.
Oh, man.
And it's just like, dude, I'm like, you know what you need? You need proficiency in your weapon. You need good boots. and a positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll carry you through 90% of the crap out there.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
very
People
true.
are like, dude, yeah, you need a Zurofsky. I mean, I'm not digging on Zurofsky at all. Don't get me wrong. They are beautiful, awesome optics, you know. But I've killed 4 to 6 bears for the first 4 or 5 years of guiding with the Vortex Diamondback,
Yeah.
right? Like, could I have done a better job with Zurofsky? Sure, absolutely. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's like...
Doing
Still got the
trophy
job done.
judgment as a guide and that whole thing.
Right. Yeah, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You know, nobody starts guiding and be like, hey, let me buy a $4,000
Oh,
optic
man.
when you're making $100 a day to pack moose meat, right?
Yeah.
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 Dude, especially now going into full-time bow hunting, you know, my 100% advice to anybody hunting is proficiency with your weapon.
Yeah.
100%. And the fortitude to not take a shot, right?
Yeah.
Because
That's tough.
yeah, especially
tough.
as a bow hunter, it's like, oh man, I had to shoot and take a frontal shot and I hit him wrong and he ran off. And it's like, well, did you have to take that?
Yeah.
And that's easy
Yeah.
to say sitting here. I know that, but you know, it's like, dude, they are living animals. You know,
What about favorite
Yeah, dude.
jet boil meal? Freeze dried.
ooh man, gotta love that beef stroganoff from Mountain House.
That's a
dude,
classic.
Those peak refuels are coming in strong, dude. But
Kind of taking over, man.
with a little bit of ad risk. I mean, Chad Mendez, don't get me wrong, dude's in the outdoors, does some great stuff, but the signature meals, having a little doubt on some of them. I'm like, dude, you guys make some great stuff. I get it. I love a lot of your stuff, but some of the Chad Mendez meals.
I haven't had the Chad Mendez ones. I've had all the other ones.
I've had
They're
some.
good.
The elk one. There's an elk stroganoff.
Yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
then like a bison chili. And
I find those ones to be kind of chalky.
I will say on the biscuits and gravy though, I just spent like 2 weeks eating peak the other day. That's what
Oh,
I'm
dude, the biscuit. That's a 3-man meal.
But you need to take them out and beat the crap out of those biscuits they put in there, because if not, they will be 2 little hockey bucks, man. You don't break those things up. Holy cow!
Well, what I found, you can just pound them on your hand.
I feel like you can't even.
Before you
That's like
open
a
it?
day
Yeah.
off meal,
Yeah,
dude.
pound 'em
You
good.
can't eat that thing,
Yeah,
right, dude? You're
hike
just
after
like,
that. No way.
I know
jammed.
I'm a light breakfast guy, and I'm very, you know, when I was talking to Kurt, you know, we both kind of have this mindset that it's like, I'm out there to enjoy time, but I'm not out there to cook. You know, like when I went to Unimac, I just carried 1 can of the breakfast granola and 2 of the 10-pound cans. One was lasagna and one was beef stroganoff, and that's what I ate the entire hunt. Because I'm like, I need fuel, but I am here to hunt.
Yeah.
And that's my mentality that a lot of people wouldn't like the hunting with me, because I'm like, coffee, necessity. But after coffee, maybe some oatmeal. After that, it's time to go. I never eat an actual lunch. I just move through bars throughout the day, constantly focus on calories throughout the day.
Yep.
And then I cut my toothbrush in half.
Yep.
Like every single thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
so you're not
perfectly done.
packing? Are you packing the baby bottle full of creamer?
Oh yeah, you know it.
Yeah, my guy.
Hell no, dude.
Guys compromise. He's like, toothbrush?
Creamer.
Check. All right, we're good.
Coffee.
It only weighs like the weight of 50 toothbrushes. But
When we wake up in the morning in our guide camp or on personal hunts, the jet boil is close enough to fire up before we leave.
Totally.
oh, yeah,
100%.
before you get out of your bag.
I live off coffee. But one thing that I do that is a little weight heavy that most people don't do is I have something hot to drink in the morning and night every night.
Yeah.
I always always in the evening.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. The beef, the bone broth, or what are you drinking at night?
I always do apple cider.
Okay.
And usually my clans are like, oh, no, I'm good. And then after about day 3, they're like, hey, got some extra?
All of a sudden, it's
Little
the best
shot of
thing you've
whiskey
ever
in there.
had.
Do
Yeah.
Jameson and apple cider.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty good.
We always did the
Splash.
sassy, like, what do you got? Oh, I got some of this. Oh, you got some of the tang. We got some of that. And we'll just
It's like emergency tang, tea, whatever it was. I had those
Yeah, like a tang thing one time.
I had those bags. I forget what the hell they were, like electrolyte, kind of like a liquid IV, kind of a pouch. I don't know. Those things would like invigorate the soul, dude. You drink that before you go to bed. It was like just running through your blood and like.
Dude, one thing, the drink mixes, the Fanta drink mixes. Have you guys had those? Oh, bro.
Really? It's
Yeah,
like a
they're
powder?
like Yeah, and your water, man, they have them at Fred Meyer's. We keep them in all our guide camps.
So it's like orange citrus?
Yeah, like orange or raspberry.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody's like, I don't know. It's the first few days. I'm like, just try it. And every day, everybody's carrying like a handful of them.
Do they have electrolytes or?
No, just
just
flavor.
I do the Crystal Light ones. So they're
Right.
like that, yeah. And then I put gin in them.
You gotta have a variety, man.
Yeah, dude, totally.
It's like
What about a candy?
candy. I'm not big on candy. I'm weird, man. I don't like chocolate. I'm not big on sweet stuff in general. So like on the mountain, I'm like, I do focus on like, I always bring like some Caribou sticks or whatever hunter sticks I made the year before. If I get a blackbird, usually have some of those. The first couple days, I'll typically bring some like heavy fat stuff that people are like, Dad, why did you cut all this weight? And then you brought a can of oysters.
Yeah.
It's like, well, because
I'll eat it.
I'm going to eat that the very first day. I'm not going to pack it for 10 days, right?
Yeah.
And then that like, calorie deficit is going to be starved off a little bit longer.
Right.
Longest I've been out there is 17 days before, and didn't really have a crazy deficit. I mean, and even like I biked the Haul Road one time to Healy, and even then, as long as I'm like maintaining meals throughout the day and getting those calories in, you can stave off that calorie deficit for a while.
Yeah.
What about shelter? What's your go-to these days?
The MSR Advanced Pro 2, which a lot of people would not like, but again, I like to suffer for a little bit of weight savings. So it's got no vegetable, but it is a one-man bomb shelter. Like I was up in Marcus Baker, and I got lifted off the ground in my tent.
Damn.
And it's got carbon fiber poles. It's a single wall tent. It's got like 14 guidelines. And even when I was on Unimac, I had it because it's sub 3 pounds. So the spotting scope on the side of a Barney's or Stone Glacier, it can fit in there. The entire tent can. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, yeah. It's super
So much
convenient.
space saved.
And I'm not a bivy guy, so I'm like, you can pull it out, throw it up in under a minute. It's got 2 poles that are connected, and you guide that thing down, and God himself is not moving that tent.
Yeah,
I mean, it is absolutely
So you had it
bomb-proof.
tied down, and the wind was like lifting you up.
Funny story on that hunt.
Oh man, I'm trying to envision it. Like
I made a really bad decision on that hunt and got in a bit of a hurry right post fair, and I was in there.
just itching.
Just
like,
too many pork chops on a stick.
And all my stuff, and I got
cheese
up there,
curds.
dude, and forgot the stakes for my tent.
Oh, dude.
On a goat hunt,
A critical component,
bro. It was so bad. So I just
Not
had to, like,
sleeping very
pile
well.
up.
Tied to rocks and stuff.
Oh yeah, and it was like we had that like tropical storm come across the Pacific, and that's what happened. Is like I was up at 5,000 feet in a saddle, and it was like the wind would come down one side and just hammer one side of the tent, and then a few minutes later it'd switch and hammer the other side, and where it's like literally started pushing me across the saddle, and I was camped in the rocks. It's not like I was like a dumbass and just camped in the
Out
wide
in the
open with
open,
no cover. Like I was like in a little boulder field, the only like cover you can. And I was like, that is by far the highest winds. I mean, I've had that tent in 65 knots in Kodiak multiple times, and I don't know.
Which you'd think would test it to the limit.
Right. I don't know, like, what it hit on top of that mountain that night, but it was like, holy cow.
Like hurricane type shit.
Yeah.
Where you put the sleeping bag over your head and you're like, if a tent
Goes
shreds,
on.
I'm just going to
It's just tucked
put my
down.
head, That's why I don't run floorless shelters, that you want to talk about
lifts.
Well, yeah, like we did that on a spring Kodiak goat hunt on the south end, February. Heated tent, the Kavari Sawtooth, and it picked up like 70 one night, and where me and my buddy just started grabbing our gear and putting it in our backpacks because we're like, dude, the tent's going to go, and then what do?
Yeah.
Like, your tent's gone.
Right.
Yeah. Sit there in your rain
I'm
gear.
I know you guys have ran some teepees on a couple spots, and on sheep hunts, I'm even considering this next one, taking the teepee, just because, I mean, you can't beat the weight savings.
Yeah.
But, like, in those high wind areas, nah.
Yeah.
Man, we've been in some wins with that thing, though.
I wouldn't bring a TP to Kodiak, dude.
Oh, for Kodiak?
No,
No,
fucking
no,
way,
no.
man.
No,
Hell
that's too.
Yeah. Kazuki Ridge? Sure.
Yeah.
What absolutely amazed me again this year, which their repetition speaks for itself, is those guide dens from Cabela's, man. I was in Unimac, and I was
Talking about like the 4 and 6 man.
Those are
The guide
The
model
domes?
ones.
Man,
Yeah.
I live by that.
You can't convince me that there's a better tent for the price on the market.
No.
Nope.
Like, those are so underpriced. Don't hear
Yeah.
this, Cabela's.
No, they're awesome.
They're good where
Well,
they're at.
I mean,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
They're and here in town, my buddy Alaska Liquidation outlet, you can get them from him half price,
What?
and they're almost new. Like, I got a whole fleet of tents from him, 50% off, that look brand new. And so I just had that one on Unimac, and it blew 70 for 3 days. And that tent, didn't even
budge.
move.
Yeah.
It is so impressive.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it
Those
has
are
that
legit.
badass vestibule on it.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
built for that
Yeah.
exact shit.
Alaska Mountain Gear in Palmer too. If you take them in airframes stove jack, they'll sell you a stove jack in there. And then
Oh, I think
had
it was you that did that.
yeah. And so if you put that stove jack with a new way stove in it,
Uh-huh.
it'll be, if it's 11 degrees outside, you can sleep at cot level at 50 degrees on low for 60 hours.
Wow.
Oh,
60
really?
hours.
That's insane.
Damn.
Yeah, me and my wife did that with Helenox cots on the south end on her goat hunt 2 years ago. I was like, yeah, I'll never sleep in a cabin on
toasted up.
Kodiak again.
Yeah.
Like, that was perfect.
That's awesome.
What about bags?
Bags, I'm all over the place. We tried the hiking bikes because the affordability with the down bags, if you've seen those, you can get 20, 15 degree bags for $150. I'm not really certain on their ratings. I'm a terrible person to ask because if you ask my wife, I'm a heater. I will.
She's freezing your hut.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on a Kodiak
Sounds familiar.
hunt. It was.
Yes. Why are they always cold?
I never have a bag that's colder than 20 degrees ever. And I've slept it down to -4 in Kodiak. I just don't do that. But I also, if it gets cold to that point, I did a podcast with Tim Hewitt, who's done the race across Alaska on foot 10 times. The dude's a cyborg. But what he does, he's done that race unsupported at 65 below zero on the Yukon. And what he does is sleeps in his sled and puts his parka over the top of him. And if you ever got cold in your tent or whatever, and know it's going to get cold, even just your rain jacket, throw it over the top of you, you will be amazed
Yeah.
how much that works.
Totally.
So Enlightened Equipment, I run those during sheep season. Big believer in mountain hardware stuff. You really can't go wrong with that. But I'm a total mutt when it comes to gear. Right now, Stone Glacier, Kuyu.
Yeah.
I wear what works, crispy.
Yeah.
If it works, it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
I like that style.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, just kind of
Mix it
having a
up.
hodgepodge.
oh yeah, I mean,
This piece layers good with this piece because the sleeve's not too long. This one, I mean, there's just 100 different things that.
Yep.
right. Stone Glacier, they don't have full zips on the legs. They have venting. I don't like that. I run the Cryptic Altitude, and that just as good. Full zips, pit zips, great camouflage too as a bow hunter. So I wear Cryptic rain gear, but Stone Glacier layers, Stone Glacier pack, unless I'm packing moose or big bears, and it's of course Barney's.
Yep.
So
Yep. Any questions for us?
nope.
I'll never ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was random. I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
put
should
him on the
ask that,
spot.
though.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah. I was like,
Oh yeah, I do got some questions.
There we go. There we go.
Where's your guys' drought tag strategy at?
Same as yours for me now. Just choose it all 6.
Yep.
Actually, I went this year day 3 of and I've done where I wait till the last day to put them in, and I've done the party thing, and this year I went day 2, let it open 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6 on all of them.
Yeah, I like to mostly go back to the same spot since I never draw, and then I do mostly all the same one. Just it's just easier, and I'd rather just. I kind of didn't like the 1, 2, 3 option growing up, and so that's why I do it. And then I like to do one party hunt a year, just one. I've actually drawn the party hunt more times than the other
Hey, I
ones.
partied with him once.
Yep. So yeah.
On one.
Yeah, we partied one this year. But then, but this year my strategy is a little different. I picked new spots. So
I've heard a lot of first time drawers, a lot of people that are like, yeah, it's the first time I ever applied, and a lot of my tags have been. You know, but there's a couple that I continue to apply for because like an elk, I always apply for the same one because there's only so many tags, and that tag has the best statistical chance of me drawing. So
right.
I always apply for that one.
yeah.
Even if the access is hard, I mean, you just
I don't focus on access at all.
you're not worried about that.
No, I pick a species I want to hunt.
There you go.
Certain animals like moose. There's only one place in the state I want to hunt moose.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
So I only apply for that.
Yeah.
Because I don't like crawling through swamps and waders. I mean, that's just me. I'm a mountain guy, right? So if I'm going to hunt moose, I'm going to draw it on the south side of the Brooks Range where I can glass them, right, and bow hunt them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But everything else is based on stats, solely based on stats, and maybe that's what's helped me. I don't know.
Yeah, I do nerd out hard on the stats, dude.
Yeah.
As an engineer, it's just like I love it, dude. And then I will save the booklets for like 3 years, and I'll be able to be like, okay,
check
there's
the
a
stats.
trend here. This one's like getting higher every year.
Oh, damn. I've never gone back and looked at
I do
data.
nerd out on those.
Well,
So
the
you
cra-
go back and look at like 3 or 4 years of supplements and see how the trends are.
Usually 3.
Okay. So how many like people put in for it?
All the numbers.
How many permits they gave out?
They give you the last year's statistics,
Right.
So then I
Yeah.
look at the last 3 years statistics,
Just got a spreadsheet built.
and then you
just-
kind
bar graphs
of
and
like trend
pie
it out.
charts.
You want to really nerd out?
Yeah.
Think about the fact that this conversation we're having right now is going to affect
Yeah,
those
yeah.
stats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got to think about all the current events happening in Alaska. And
Yeah,
how
oh,
those
totally.
are going to affect. You're going to be
Totally.
like, ooh, should I really go hunt 40 Mile because it's going to be packed as an out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, with all of them, you just got to go hunt, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally
you just got to
that.
go put in 1,000% and kill it.
Yeah.
That's all it comes
Yeah.
down to.
Yep.
Like sheep hunts and goat hunts, like relying on harvest statistics, like we talked about earlier. It's like, how many people? Okay, I land at this lake and it's 3,000 elevation all around, super steep. How many people have the fortitude to go up there to kill it?
Oh, totally, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Still got to put in the work.
The other thing though is like I don't go just on statistics. Like, I mean, I'll go to an area I want to try out, and then I call my pilot friends, and I'm like, hey, have you been in here in the last couple of years? How's it looking compared to used to look or compared to these other areas?
Right.
So it's like they're definitely not the best percentage. They're like the best percentage of places I want to go, and like one that I'm hoping that like less people put in for. You know?
Well, 100%. I do want to say that everybody should, just because I don't look at the access,
Yeah.
everybody should look at the access because
Look, that
what-
might make or break you even
They
doing
might
it.
not
You might be
go.
like, oh shit,
people
I can't.
don't hunt. There's more tags allocated to Kodiak for bears specifically because people will draw the hunts and not go hunt them, taking away opportunity from somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Period.
There should be a penalty for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't think?
Or like a forfeit time where someone
happens,
could go to
though.
somebody
Well, I
else.
think that you
Yeah,
know,
very
it's
true.
not a black or white penalty, right? It's like these are the circumstances that like if you qualify, then there's no penalty. But if you don't qualify for one of these circumstances, then
What about the idea like, hey, I got injured, I can't do this hunt. It's going to be redrawn.
yeah, redrawn would be great.
I
Like,
think
if-
100% that you should be able to turn in tags that you're gonna
Not
hunt.
use,
Like
yeah.
if you know in advance that
Yeah.
no way possible. Like military guys, right? They can get them if they're deployed. They can get it for the next year, which is totally awesome.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
but you
yeah,
100%
I
should be
support
able to
that.
return that back in,
Yeah.
and it should go to the next person.
Yeah.
that applied for that.
right.
Yeah, that just
And you
missed
should
out.
know, like, hey, you're the next guy. So if one of these guys decides not
Yeah,
to go,
that would
so
be
then you
cool.
can kind of be prepared.
Like they
You're-
put like 10 in the queue, and you're like, oh, you're number 8.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
like the governor tags in the Super 7, that's a cool thing about that is all of them are transferable. And our Fognac Bear Hunt raffle also transferable. So if you win and you just want the brand new gun or the cash prize, well, you can donate it back or you can give it to somebody else and let them have it.
That's cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah, if you
badass.
have the financial ability to win a hunt for a bear and give it to your grandpa or whatever,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you could totally do that.
That's really rad.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the governor tags include all of the license and fees as well.
Okay. Any topics we didn't hit?
No,
Something?
probably,
No?
yeah, a
I
lot.
think we went in pretty deep there.
But you knew about my bucket list hunts. What are your guys' Alaska bucket list hunts? You don't got one that rises above the rest, like your Everest?
Bison.
Oh, dude.
I want that bison bad.
Mine's
Yeah.
archery sheep, man. Archery sheep is like, I would love to bucket, like draw the bison, but man, I've been trying for 4 or 5 years with a bow. I missed 3 ramps.
Oh, okay.
And
You
that's-
gotta.
I got a thing.
Yeah.
Bit of a complex going on there.
Oh, dude.
Well, thank you, Caleb, for coming in and all the work that you're doing with AOC. And anyone that's not involved with AOC, we highly encourage you to check out their website and their YouTube and go to one of the events and stop by the fair and chat with these guys. When is the next event?
So the next event is March 9th in Fairbanks at the Carlson Center.
Okay.
It's our Fairbanks Outdoorsman Banquet. It will be the biggest sportsman's event in Fairbanks ever.
Oh, awesome.
We just
nice.
did our Largest event ever in Wasilla, 833 attendees. Over
damn.
200 small businesses were involved. Over a dozen different NGOs, and we're going to bring that same momentum into Fairbanks and not just raise money for this stuff, but we want to hear about issues, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got a problem? Let me know about it. Every one of our membership counts. I want to hear from everybody.
What's the venue again?
Carlson Center in Fairbanks.
Carlson. Okay.
Yeah, you buy a ticket to our banquet. It's $100. You get entered in to win a brand new 4-wheeler and 25 different guns.
Right on, man.
Yeah, we give away guns for everybody at our banquets.
Yeah. Did you see the what is that Subaru dealer that was giving away an AR with everyone that bought a car or something like that?
David Dowd.
Right?
Yeah. We're friends on Facebook, man. Hell yeah.
What state?
Here.
Oh,
Yeah,
The Anchorage one?
In Anchorage, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Continental Subaru did that?
No,
Oh, Continental.
He's I don't want to misquote where his place is, but it's not. You don't even have to buy the car.
Okay.
It's if you buy an extended warranty, you get an AR.
That is so cool.
Damn, dude, that is some forward ass shit right there.
My '98 Dodge needs a new warranty.
Yeah.
Can I get that new 223 warranty?
Yeah. Is that what they're calling it? That's funny. Thanks, Caleb, again for coming in and all the work that you're doing.
Dude.
Appreciate it. Like we said, it's been a long time wanting you to come in here and chat with us, and hopefully we can make some of your events. I know you extended the invite many times, but with kids and all the stuff, it's always tough. But we do hope to come and support you guys' events because you guys are doing great things.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Been listening for a while, so I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, man. And I've said this to several other guests, but pretty inspirational overall impact on what the council represents. And it's cool to have some young blood like yourself getting involved. You're passionate about it. You're excited about it. It's growing.
Right.
It feels like it's actually maybe on an upswing, uptick
majorly, yep.
right now. And so congratulations to you and your efforts and your future plans, and keep doing it, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah, dude.
Thanks for being an advocate for Alaska, bro. We need it.
Hell yeah, we need more.
We need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Alaska. Get involved. And as always,
Stay wild.
You'll remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
the Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Big Rays, the Alaskan outfitter, committed to outfitting Alaskans across the state since 1947. Whether you're a recreator, parent, guide, or corporate buyer, Big Rays has the gear you need, tailored for Alaska's harsh conditions. Check out their new exclusive line of Auralic waders. Big Rays for all your outdoor gear and rugged work attire. BigRays.com.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
The TreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives. AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate the vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include weekly lawn care, custom landscaping, fertilizing, weed control, turf repair, and more. Schedule your free estimate at lawnproak.com.
Alaska's OG cider company, Double Shovel, crafting gluten-free colonial-style ciders founded as a healthier, non-inflammatory brew option. Drop by their Pop and Tap room in Anchorage off of 58th and Arctic or visit the second location in Kodiak. Double Shovel, award-winning ciders.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
Alaska Mining and Diving Supply, located in Anchorage, is our go-to for powder sleds and utility rigs. Whether you're in the mountains with the flat bill bros, running trap lines, or hauling freight, they have the selection to get you dialed from peaks to the valleys. Find them on Commercial Drive or akmining.com.
Should you not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and is too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.